3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
I think we're going to have a light breakfast.
Yeah.
We're going to have to really kill it at lunch. And then dinner is just going to be
free for all.
But you have to wait till after the draft for dinner because you can't really enjoy barbecue while the draft is going on.
No.
So that's sort of a catch-22.
I can't be like all sauce all over my face and my hands trying to use an elbow to like scroll up to see the latest pick or trade.
Last year, though, it would have worked at the number 4 pick, though. Sauce Gardner.
You've been waiting for that one, haven't you?
No, that dad joke just came out of nowhere.
Sure.
You handed it to me.
No. This is like when Ian Eagle sat on Jawbreaker for the whole year and then finally unleashed it.
Wait.
That's what he told us. And you've been sitting on this one for like at least 2 weeks.
You were just talking about how you can't get sauce on your hands, so you scroll down during the draft. I mean, come on, that was put in my lap. I had no choice but to spike it home.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Everyone's getting rich. Well, not running backs, quarterbacks. Hey, it's Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. It is Maggie and Perloff. Rich.
Oh, those running backs have to settle for $10 million.
I know. Something tells me they're going to be okay. They are undervalued, but We say hello to our CBS Sports Radio affiliates across the country. You want to watch the show, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. But yes, who's getting rich? Justin Herbert's the latest player to get rich, and he signed a massive deal, Perloff, and now has the highest in terms of average annual value. So what he's getting paid per year, he's now the highest at $52.5 million a year. The total value of the contract, 5 years, $262.5 million. And the irony is the Chargers' path to the Super Bowl just got harder. And it always gets harder after these quarterbacks sign these massive deals, because in a salary cap sport, now you have a quarterback who's taking up such a high percentage of the salary cap. A general manager's job, ironically, when they hit on the quarterback and do a good job drafting that quarterback, their job to win a Super Bowl becomes much harder.
Yeah, but if you're the Chargers GM or any GM in this situation, what are you supposed to do? You have no choice. It's an unfortunate curse of drafting the right quarterback is you got to pay him. And I still, as of now at least, don't see any other option other than paying this big dollar figure. You're exactly right. It is going to be harder, but you have to do it. Can you think of something else to do?
Well, I do remember not that long ago, you and I aren't that old, but I do remember a time when you had to pay your running back. And now you don't have to do that. I remember a time when teams couldn't wait to pay a running back because they were such a big part of the offense and so important. And now the running back position, and not even Saquon or joking around about Josh Jacobs, you got Dalvin Cook out there who is a free agent and can't get a sniff yet. We have no idea what he's going to sign for, but it's probably going to be pretty shocking how low it is. And so things like this are cyclical.
Well, yeah, but they haven't drafted running backs high in 35 years. You know, I know it's a little bit of a different issue, but draft position and quarterback, but it's the supply. I don't know. It feels like a long time. They're not paying the running backs did get paid. Some of them did, but nothing like these quarterback numbers. We're talking $260 million total.
I'm talking about how things change all the time in sports because you have really smart people in front offices who are always looking for a way to get better, right? You're always looking for that. They call it an inefficiency, right? You're always looking for a way to get smarter and better. And right now, the quarterback salaries are so insane that to keep going this way, it just doesn't lead to winning Super Bowls unless you have Patrick Mahomes, who might go down as like the second best quarterback of all time when this thing is said and done.
But all the analytics people I've seen so many different reports and studies that the best way to win in the NFL is to have excellent quarterback play.
Rookie quarterback play.
Not true. The best way to win consistently.
Not rookie. I mean, young quarterbacks on a rookie deal. Pardon me.
I'm saying to win. To be a winning team is you need good quarterback play. So you need to keep drafting until you find your guy. Now that doesn't mean keep drafting him once you find your guy, because that has never been done. That's an experiment we haven't seen yet. But listen, how many guys on a rookie deal have actually won the Super Bowl?
Like Russell Wilson. I mean,
there's been two in the last 10 years. I just looked. Russell Wilson, who did nothing on that Super Bowl team, who just happened to be there, and Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. Everybody else was Tom Brady. Basically, Tom Brady screwed that off.
Tom Brady is basically like tilted the record book. And to be honest, Mahomes now signing his deal and still winning has kind of tilted things as well.
You see a lot of Mahomes. You see a lot of Tom Brady. We know Matthew Stafford did it. We know that sort of, well, I guess Carson Wentz was on a rookie deal with the year the Eagles won. But generally, it's not as clear-cut as, oh, you got a rookie deal, you're going to win the Super Bowl. It's not. You have to do a lot of other things besides just have a low-paid rookie quarterback.
Okay, but as the quarterback salaries get massive, I mean, all these quarterbacks who have these huge deals, all these guys win at Super Bowls. Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts got to the Super Bowl, lost. The stats will tell you Eagles aren't going back to the Super Bowl this year. We'll see what happens. You know, is Deshaun Watson winning a Super Bowl? These guys are getting paid so much money. Yeah. And if they don't win, teams are going to start, I think, waking up to this fact and saying, I don't know, maybe you just keep drafting quarterbacks. Or, you know, the San Francisco 49ers are kind of there, right? Like if Brock Purdy is still really good in the second year, and if they do win a Super Bowl, maybe people start saying, listen, we got to try to find a system. And we have to try to find a way around this, because the more we pay the quarterback, it seems like the less chance we have of winning a Super Bowl.
Or how about this?
Yeah.
What if you can convince your star quarterback to take a little bit less and say,
you got to have the
because, and here's why I think that you can do it if you're the right franchise, because Super Bowls are invaluable. They don't have a price tag on them. all these players are talking about figures that they'll never be able to spend this money. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is now criminally underpaid. He has a $450 million contract. He lives in Kansas City, Missouri. I think he has the nicest home in all of Missouri. He couldn't spend this money.
Have you watched quarterback? It's pretty nice. He's got a golf course there.
Yeah, he could not spend this money in his lifetime and his kid's lifetime. So the money is fine. So maybe quarterbacks have to volunteer to take less. Maybe that's the formula.
Do you see that happening?
Well, Mahomes,
Justin Herbert just signed a $262 million deal.
I think
who's taking less?
I think there's two quarterbacks who will.
Who?
I think Mahomes and Burrow.
We'll see with Joe Burrow. He's probably going to sign any day now.
He's going to be team friendly. I guarantee it, because that guy's all about the rings.
Okay, but is that fair?
Yes.
I don't know. Brady did it, but let's look a little closer here with Brady. I mean, I'm not like a forensic accountant or anything, but the fact that Robert Kraft just happened to be an investor in TB12, I mean, they might have been moving money around.
So you're saying that they were circumventing the salary cap possible? Of course you think the Patriots are cheating. And
well,
you're probably right.
These rumors, yes, I do. But these rumors go back to, we've been doing a great debate series this entire week. We've all heard the rumors about, Jerry Rice taking bags of cash. I don't want to disparage Jerry. I'm just saying we've all heard rumors like that.
Like that owners have gone around the salary cap. Well, which is so funny because right now we're hearing about how Saquon is underpaid and Mahomes is underpaid. And everyone's like, the owners are so cheap and they keep on using the franchise tag as a cheat code to cheap players. Meanwhile, the owners, if they could, would open their pocketbooks up even more and give more money to the players, but the cap helps them. But that's a tangent here. I think the point is the great quarterbacks are going to take a little bit less to be team friendly. I think that's the formula. But you can't, name one of these guys who just got paid that the team had a choice. I mean, Baltimore wasn't going to sign Lamar Jackson?
Well,
honestly,
it was a little dicey there for a moment. I mean, the moment he asked for a trade, I was like, is this going to happen? I don't know. But
you can't trade him. There's no trade value.
Okay, but if the rings were in taking less, I know Brady did it, but then why didn't Aaron Rodgers do it? Then why didn't Drew Brees do it?
Because he's a loser. I mean, he's not a loser. That's way too strong.
Wait a minute, what?
I mean, Aaron Rodgers is not a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
Well,
he's won
technically
one.
He is.
He won one. But obviously, he should have taken less, and he should have brought more talent. And I'll bet you sometimes he looked at certain situations and said, "Woo, I wish we had, maybe had done it a little differently." Don't you think he should have?
Well, he was playing for an organization who notoriously was reluctant to spend on high-priced free agents. Now, they've gotten away from that a little bit, but, I mean, that was always kind of the rub going
I hear you.
With the Green Bay Packers. But
was that them not willing to spend, or people didn't want to play in Green Bay?
Well, that's why you got to maybe overpay a little bit, to get people to come play in crappy weather.
Well, I do think that Rodgers probably did some things a little bit wrong. I think most of it's on the front office. But, I mean, don't you think, when you think of Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees, don't you think, oh, man, they took all the money and the team couldn't win again?
I mean, first I think of them as being Super Bowl champions and Hall of Famers. And then, then I think, could they have done more?
You're telling me if Aaron Rodgers wins one Super Bowl, his career is not going to be just a bit disappointing. To me, it is a little bit.
Listen, you can tell how into it he is here with the Jets. Yeah. Although to put all your hopes and dreams on saving your legacy by going to the Jets is...
He's retiring with 3 Super Bowl rings. That's all I'm telling you.
Oh, yeah. He's got 2 coming to him with the Jets.
I feel like Favre's in the same boat. Brett Favre, he won just one, and everyone's like, ooh, he kind of screwed that up. He should have won more. So I think, you should convince these quarterbacks, and I think Joe Burrow's going to do it. I think he's going to look at Justin Herbert and say, I don't want to be that guy, because you're right. It's going to be hard for the Chargers to build a champion around him. I think Burrow is going to say, all right, team, let's do this together. Let's win a Super Bowl in Cincinnati.
And I could also see Burrow potentially using his power and say, I want a fully guaranteed contract, just like Deshaun Watson. I mean, I don't know. He's got a lot of power right now. He's got leverage. He could use that either way. 855-212-4CBS, yes.
He's going to want T. Higgins.
Sure. Okay. Then take less. But that's not been the trend. Put it that way, because I'm just watching quarterback salaries go up and up and up and up. And again, the irony is it now becomes harder to win a Super Bowl once you've paid your quarterback. Yeah. That's why we talk about these windows. And is your window closing and is your window open? It's like it's a drafty because there's so many windows that are opening and shutting it all the time. But it's because of the money. That's why. And so, there's going to be a time. Just like I never thought we'd see this with running backs, and we might see it with wide receivers at some point, where you become so expensive that the teams and smart front offices have to find a different way.
Yeah, that definitely could happen. But I think what I said about quarterbacks taking less is going to happen within 2 weeks. I think you're going to see Joe. We'll know who's right about this. I think Joe Burrow is going to take a pay cut. Yeah,
he's driving to Cincinnati.
Now it's hard to figure out the terms on this because what is less? I mean, these contracts are so complicated.
Let's do a show bet here. If Joe Burrow, you think he's going to take less than Justin Herbert? We have to figure out which metric we're going to use because there's guaranteed at signing, there's practical guarantees,
there's
so hard. Injury guarantees, average annual value.
I think he's going to take a deal that gives his team more cap flexibility than Justin
too nebulous.
Herbert.
It's got to be for the bet.
I think AAV, average annual value. I think that's
so. Herbert's at 52.5 right now, which is the highest in the league.
That's kind of how we look at it. We look at either guaranteed, but guaranteed could be spread across 5 years, 10 years, whatever. So guaranteed is tough to look at also.
You got to be freaking Einstein to take apart
I think just average yearly salary.
Average annual. I will shake on this right now. You want to drive to Cincinnati?
I don't want to drive to Cincinnati on this one. I think we need something a little higher stakes than this.
How about like
I'll eat a bowl of Skyline
By the
chili.
Way, these people are killing themselves on these scooters. I don't know why anyone would ride one of these. Anyway, okay, sorry.
So I think that Joe Burrow is going to come under the 52.5. And I think one of the reasons he's going to do it is because he's going to have more than 5 years. But
listen, here's the thing. I kind of want you to eat the Skyline chili. We've done a lot of food challenges around here, but only if you can do it with no hands.
That sounds fun.
Sure. So you'll do it too?
Sure. I mean, we promised we'd stay away from food challenges, and we didn't even make it 2 weeks.
Listen, we need like a big bowl though, because like once you get like halfway down, unless you have like a dog tongue lapping up the bottom of it,
you got to figure it out.
We need like a big bowl to get your whole face in there.
I think you can order that online too. You get frozen Skyline chili
delivered from Cincinnati.
I'm almost sure you can do that.
Okay. Yeah, I bet we can. We'll figure it out. I'm not worried about that.
Give us a number. Let's set a number today. What's the average annual salary? 52.5?
Justin Herbert's is 52.5. I think Burrow's going to come in over that, and you think it's going to be under.
Yes, I think Joe Burrow is going to help his team out, and he's going to take under that.
Because you think it's going to be a 6-year deal or 7-year deal.
I think he's going to do a Patrick Mahomes-like deal.
Man, so maybe I don't want to go AAV here. I might want to go practical guarantee.
No, you can't change it now, Maggie.
I kind of want the full guarantee, though, because that's what's going to hamstring the Bengals, right?
No.
No, because if it's a 10-year deal, the amount of guaranteed isn't necessarily going to hamstring him as much, depending on how long of a deal he gets.
No, I know. If he signs a 10-year deal, his average annual is going to be low. That's the whole point.
Right, but his guaranteed might be high, but it might still be...
I know, so I'm the one who's going to be eating the chili.
Right, that's my point here. I'm hoping that you eat the chili.
I know. That's why maybe I don't want to go average annual. I could go full guarantee.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying he could go a big full guarantee, but if he goes more years, then he's still helping the team. The full guarantee doesn't really even matter.
All right, let me think about this for a second.
Oh, come on, Maggie. It'll be so fun to eat this. And by the way, I might lose. I mean, Joe Burrow's better than Justin Herbert.
Yes, Stu?
I'm shocked Perloff doesn't want to go to Cincinnati. His favorite baseball team is there. Can he drive there and watch the Reds play, watch Ellie De La Cruz?
Thank you, sir.
Actually, I would not mind going to Cincinnati.
What a bad bandwagon fan you are. You don't even want to drive to Cincinnati to see your beloved Reds.
I definitely drive to Cincinnati. I actually once did a fantasy football event in the East Ash, I think is the name of the town. It's a suburb of Cincinnati. I had the best time. People are
I love
awesome.
Cincinnati.
Yeah.
GW used to play Xavier, and he used to ask to go on that road trip. Loved it.
All right, but all the driving bets are always one way because you don't like driving long. You don't even like driving an hour and a half somewhere to
I don't
New
even
Jersey.
like commuting into the office, but I do it for you guys.
Yeah, I'm like,
I don't want to be home.
You're like Perloff. Why don't you drive to El Paso? And I'm like, you just complained because you had to go from North Jersey to another part of North Jersey.
I do not like to be in the car. 855-2124-CBS, 855-2124-2227. All right, average annual value.
That's a sexy number right there. This isn't something accountants would love this bet.
I know.
So number one right now, 52.5. I mean, it makes. By the way, why would you feel bad about that? It would make perfect sense for Joe Burrow to have the highest average annual value.
I know. I don't feel great about this because I think Burrow's going to sign the longer contract, but I will say it's going to be more than Justin Herbert average annual value. Yeah.
That was an evil laugh.
I know, it was very evil.
I'm laughing. I'm laughing because we're going to need a forensic accountant to figure out what the heck the average annual value
No,
is.
Spotrac and Over the Cap will have all of that. AAV is very simple. I mean, at least, on these websites.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes is 8th, and this is why they're going to be a dynasty.
But I also heard that Mahomes has a huge cap hit this year, which I never understand, too.
It's not like it's not sometimes evenly applied all the way through.
It's his dead cap, which is huge. It's like 40.
I think this year in particular they have a huge cap. So the thing
I'm
is,
sorry, it's 134 million. But the dead cap has to do with signing bonus plus the length of your contract. So of course it's going to be big because it's a long-term deal, and they're not cutting Patrick Mahomes, so who cares? That's only if they cut him. That's not his actual cap hit.
Actually, all right, I'll double check this during the break, but I think he has a huge cap hit this year.
His cap hit is 40 million. His dead cap is 134. That means if they cut him, then they
but I think 40 million is the highest in the league right now.
Probably.
Okay, but there's no chance they're cutting him. There's no chance they're trading him.
Right, so it doesn't matter.
My only point is he is taking more of a salary cap than any player in the NFL right now. So it's not like Mahomes is a nothing burger here.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Well, now we have the bet. I mean, the fact that we swore we wouldn't do food bets.
It's Skyline Chili. It doesn't count.
Yeah, but don't. No hands, though. No utensils.
Awesome.
No hands. I've never had it. 855-212-4CBS, and I hope I don't after this bet. 855-212-4227. All right, you're welcome to weigh in on quarterbacks and their situations. Coming up, though, the great debate series continues. Now, quickly, we've been doing best player at their position of all time in the NFL. Best NFL player at the position, all-time greatest. Today, we are doing quarterback and pass rusher. Should I explain the twist? All right.
Yes. Wait. Oh. Yes, definitely. Explain the twist.
You know what? Let's break. I'll explain the twist on the other side, because to do greatest quarterback of all time, we have to do a twist on this because of Brady. So the twist when we come back, it is Maggie and Perloff. We are on CBS Sports Radio. We're on the absolutely free to download Odyssey app. We're on Sirius XM channel 158 and youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. Come on in, say hi to the Weekdays.
You're in a 5-minute break. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. The great sports debate series continues today. All week we've been nominating our best player at each key NFL position. Today is quarterback. So quarterback and pass rusher later in the show. I think, Maggie, we had to sort of pivot our normal rules here. We could not just debate who's the number one quarterback of all time, because who wants to listen to that?
Yeah, and it would be disingenuous, it feels like, for someone not to say Brady. Like, he ended this debate. He's really the only one who has fully ended the debate.
Yeah. I mean, for now, somebody could catch him.
Yeah, listen, Mahomes might end up catching him.
Yeah, that's the one guy I was thinking might make this interesting.
But we thought to make it more interesting than just talking about the merits of Tom Brady, what fun sports talk radio is that? We're going to debate the second best player of all time, the second best quarterback of all time. So in this particular instance, we are ceding the number one spot to Brady. So here we go.
The Great Debate Series.
Second
Best quarterback ever.
Dynamite. Dynamite production there.
By the way, Maggie, how many people are going to call and say, what about Tom Brady?
I know. Well, it's just like yesterday we said we did inside linebacker. We didn't take any calls on Lawrence Taylor because he's not an inside linebacker. So we didn't do it. Anyway, so we're doing the second greatest quarterback of all time.
Yes.
Go ahead.
No, actually, it's your turn. On the offensive player, you go first.
Okay. The second greatest quarterback of all time behind Tom Brady is Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning, who has been one of the most dominant and most productive quarterbacks throughout his nearly 20-year career. This was a guy who was not a system, in fact, revolutionized the position, redefined the role in how he controlled games on the fly He changed the way quarterbacks prepare. Now, and he has records that I'm sure will be broken because the NFL is like that, including this incredible one that needs to be acknowledged.
Manning's in the shotgun by himself. Payton throws homer and goes. Got Julius Thomas there. Thomas with the touchdown, and there's the record. Peyton Manning's 51st touchdown pass of the year, and a beauty to Julius Thomas. Move over Tom Brady. That chair belongs to Peyton Manning this year.
A 5-time MVP, a 7-time first-team All-Pro, led the league in pass yards or touchdowns 7 different times. That's just part of it. I mean, retired with most passing yards, has so many incredible accolades, and was also someone who struck fear into the hearts of defenses, right? Because he was so hard to prepare for, always keeping you on your toes. Now, of course, you're going to talk to me about the postseason.
Oh, no. I wasn't going to bring that up. I mean, I was just curious, those 5 MVP years, he must have won the Super Bowl all those years, right?
Okay. Well, first of all, I had Barry Sanders as my greatest running back of all time yesterday, and we weren't talking about postseason then. I know legacies can be defined there. Peyton Manning, though, did finish his career with a 14-13 playoff record. Ooh. He goes 2-2 in Super Bowls, so it's not like he was never making Super Bowls. And it's not like he was, completely inept here. He was having postseason success. It's just he was set the bar so high in the regular season, it felt like a disappointment in the postseason.
I don't know about that. I feel like, did they lose 41-0 to the Jets in one postseason?
Listen, the Jets had Parcells at the time.
I mean, come on. He for the first half of his career, he was terrible in the postseason. You can't put it any other way.
Okay, but I can also give you, while he does have some high-profile, high-interception games and things like that in the postseason, I could bore you to death with numbers about the lack of run support he had and the lack of defensive support that he had in those seasons.
But a lot of those games, he put together like a field goal effort the entire game. I mean, the offense just fell apart once they got, he beat up the AFC South. He's basically tall Drew Brees. He's an indoor quarterback who put up gigantic numbers.
He has more accolades than Drew Brees.
Tall Drew Brees.
No. That's doing a disservice. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. No, Peyton Manning's obviously awesome, and I agree that he was a revolutionary sort of style quarterback, too. Now, if you're going to tell me about postseason, I'm looking at my quarterback. I can't find a single flaw because that is Joe Montana, number 2 quarterback of all time. So he was in 4 Super Bowls, famously 4-0. But that's not the stat that I am really blown away by. He had 11 touchdowns and no picks in those Super Bowls. Never threw an interception in 4 Super Bowls.
So he started Jerry Rice?
What difference does it make if he's throwing to Jerry Rice or who he's throwing to? The defense never touched the ball. He was perfect. He obviously had all the accolades of the MVPs and stuff. He also helped revolutionize the game along with Bill Walsh. Can you imagine? This was the time when there were no small quarterbacks. Can you imagine if Joe Montana got a hold of today's NFL where you can't hit the quarterback? Because I was looking at his year by year. The only thing that stopped him from winning 6 Super Bowls was he kept getting hurt because he was not huge. And there was 2 strike seasons also that kind of waylaid the Niners during the 80s. But he was unbelievable. If it wasn't for injuries, he would have probably had 6 for Brady to chase after. And then now I know he lost his job to Steve Young, but he told us at the Super Bowl, Maggie. Do you remember what he told us?
I do. I was trying to forget it.
The muscle came off his forearm. He was talking about Brock Purdy's injury. So there's a reason they got rid of him. But then he went to Kansas City and won a playoff game in Kansas City, which no one at that time ever did. I am not huge into clutch stats, but there's no one more clutch than Joe Montana. Not Tom Brady, not Eli Manning, who's the most clutch Manning brother. He just was unbelievable at the biggest moments, and he was also unbelievable during the non-big moments. There's a famous game against the Eagles where he threw 4 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. He just wanted to win more than any quarterback of his time. And to me, the debate really, for my second, was Elway versus Montana. But Montana's winning ability put him over Elway, and certainly puts him over Manning in my mind, just because quarterback's all about winning. I know wins is not a quarterback stat.
No.
But to be able to lead your team at the biggest moment is the most important thing a quarterback can do. And no one except for Tom Brady did it like Joe Montana.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. So we're doing second best quarterback of all time because we are conceding that Brady is number 1. It'd be really hard to argue against Tom Brady. So I have Peyton Manning. Perloff has Joe Montana. You're welcome to weigh in. see, Peyton Manning gets hurt because he doesn't have moments. Like Montana has moments. Brady has moments. Close games, fourth quarter comebacks, things like that. Brady, for Peyton, the Super Bowls for the most part were kind of lopsided, like either winning or losing were kind of lopsided. And unfortunately, his biggest moment probably is the Tracy Porter, like returning the touchdown for, interception for a touchdown against the Saints. So his like one big Super Bowl moment is kind of like, it's a bad moment. And so I think like Brady had these like close wins. All of his Super Bowls were interesting. Peyton doesn't really have that. He just has the dominance, the sustained success, the consistency.
Well, I think that Peyton got lucky because a really, really bad Bears team stuck through to the Super Bowl against him in one of them. And then the other one, he wasn't even the MVP of. I mean, he had 9 touchdowns and 17 picks in 2015 and just witnessed the Broncos win the Super Bowl.
Okay.
And to me, he was just a fancy witness to that.
Okay, and again, I hate this because I'm not trying to disparage Joe Montana here, but you are Mr. System. I said Jerry Rice was the greatest wide receiver of all time 2 days ago, and you're like, Bill Walsh, but the system. But now when it's Joe Montana, it doesn't matter that he was part of the system in the West Coast offense.
Can you edit out the last 30 seconds of Maggie talking from the podcast? Because I don't know what you're talking about, Maggie.
855-212-4CBS. Okay, we've got that on the table for you. Again, we're doing second best quarterback of all time. We'll do pass rusher later on in the show. We're giving greatest of all time to Brady. We also have a new show bet. This one kind of came out of nowhere. Perloff believes that Joe Burrow, when he does sign his big extension, is going to take less money than Justin Herbert, who signed yesterday for $262 million.
Yeah, 52.5 per year.
Per year. You think that Joe Burrow is going to take less. I do not think so. I think he's going to take more. So whenever Joe Burrow does sign, if he signs for more than Justin Herbert, Perloff has to eat an entire bowl, plate, whatever, of Skyline chili with no hands.
It's definitely a bowl because Skyline chili, and I've actually never had it either, but I know it's more like tomato sauce.
Okay.
Right, it's like spaghetti sauce. So it's going to be super, super gross. We're going to look like a 2-year-old.
And so if Burrow signs for less than Herbert on the average annual value, then I will have to eat the Skyline chili with no hands. And we promised ourselves we weren't going to do any food things for a while. But here we go. Let's go to Paul, who's in Denver. Hello, Paul. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
We're doing great.
Good. So I'll weigh in first. I'm with Perloff and Joe Montana being the number 2 quarterback of all time just because of the Super Bowl wins, the consistency. Like he said, 11 TD passes, no interceptions. So got to go with Joe.
Okay.
And on a side note, I did go to Xavier, so I want to give you just a little insight on that Skyline chili.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's not like tomato sauce. It's the most delicious dish in the world. And I think to sweeten that bet, you guys have to, if you thought those hot wings were hot, they've got a sauce that you put on top that whoever loses has to do at least 5 or 6 shakes of the sauce.
Get out of here.
5 or
First
6
of all,
shakes of the sauce.
We're going to be sticking our face in there and our eyes. I think, someone could die with this the way you're describing this.
I can't do another
then you can't lose.
Yes, what was it? The cuticles? I didn't want to get hot sauce in the cuticles. Paul, we can't go back to that. Perloff was very nervous.
Go with a fork with the hot sauce.
I think we're going to go hands-free, Paul. Thank you so much. Do we put hot sauce? I mean, I'll put some hot sauce on. I don't care. I'm not worried about my eyes.
He said it's hotter, the Scoville, that was 300 Scovilles on the wings that I ate. No, you cannot stick your face without any hands. Your hands are tied behind your back with a really, really hot, like if you're going to have like a high Scoville, that's super dangerous. And insane.
Such a dad. So
well, okay, all right, then do it.
Well, I would do maybe not 5 or 6 shakes, but I'll do a couple shakes.
Oh,
how hot is the hot sauce?
He said it's hotter than the wings I was eating.
Well, I don't know. Can I mix it around a little bit so it's not just like getting one really hot bite? Adrian is in Maryland. Hello, Adrian. How are you?
Hey guys, thanks for taking my call. Hey, Perloff, I guess you better get your crackers ready because you're going to be eating that chili. The problem with the contracts is, bro, he's going to get more, but it's going to be more team friendly because he wants to sign his guy, Chase. So that it's the deal's going to be team friendly. It's going to be a little bit more than Herbert, but he wants to sign Chase, so he's going to make it probably 6, maybe 7 years, and then restructure it in a couple years where the cap where it's not in it's cap friendly.
But wait, I don't understand. How's he going to sign Chase without taking less?
If he takes a deal for 6 or 7 years, then I'm probably losing the bet.
He's going to take more. He's going to get more money, but it's going to be more years.
Right.
To start off.
That's why we did average per year.
Yeah, that's why we're doing average per year because
the average per year will probably be more, but they're going to be able to sign Chase somehow.
I think so too. And Adrian, I think quarterback and wide receiver, we're proving that those two can coexist. Thank you so much for the call. Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs both have gotten paid. But Jalen Hurts now and A.J. Brown have both gotten paid.
But they broke up the Chiefs, and they broke up Mahomes and Tyreek Hill, and they broke up Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, well, they tried to re-sign Devontae Adams, and he was like, I'm still leaving. And then Tyreek Hill, there might have been a few things there, right?
I think at the end of the day, you can't afford a $50 million a year quarterback and a $35 million a year wide receiver, or 30.
Maybe not, but I don't. The T. Higgins part of it, I think, is going to be the more interesting one. They'll find money for Chase.
Yeah, I totally agree with that because Chase is a once-in-a-lifetime receiver. Higgins is very good, but Higgins is going to want $30 million, so it's going to be tough.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. So you're welcome to weigh in. We got a new show bet, so there we go. Who's going to be eating Skyline chili with no hands? And we also have our great debate series, second greatest quarterback of all time behind Tom Brady. Perloff says Joe Montana. I say Peyton Manning. Coming up, we got the latest from Cowboys camp. What was Jerry saying about Dak Prescott? We've got that and so much more for you after this CBS Sports Update. Here's Rich Ackerman.
Sports Flag.
And it's sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Insurance for motorcycles, boats, and RVs for protection on the road and on the water. See how much you can save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com. It's officially Bryce Young's show in Charlotte as the Panthers announced the top pick overall is their starting quarterback Week 1. Aaron Rodgers is yet to play it down for the Jets, but has reworked his contract with the team. The Giants have identified their core and now have their left tackle in the fold long term, with Andrew Thomas signing a multi-year extension, reportedly 5 years, with $67 million in guaranteed money, the most ever for an offensive lineman. The Bears have given tight end Cole Kmet a 4-year extension with $32 million guaranteed. Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred given an extension through the 2028 season. Right now, top of the 7th, no score between Cincinnati and Milwaukee, with the Brewers holding just a half-game lead over the Reds in the NL Central. Washington topped Colorado by a score of 5-4. Bottom 6, it's Cleveland 8, Kansas City 1. Jose Ramirez, a pair of homers in that one. Bottom of the 8th, it's Seattle in front of Minnesota 8-7, and Miami down Tampa Bay 7-1. I'm Rich Ackerman.
Hey, it's DA. Be sure to listen to CBS Sports Radio at home. Ask Alexa to play CBS Sports Radio.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Time to Ask Pros, where you, the listener, get to ask us a question, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Simply tweet your question at CBS Sports Radio or at Maggie and Pearl using the hashtag #AskThePros. Be listening later in the show when we might answer your question. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. All right, I just want to clarify something. We're doing the great sports debate. Today, we started with the second best quarterback of all time. Tom Brady's number one. Maggie and I agree on that. So we have second best. I have Joe Montana, and you have
Peyton Manning.
So Mike Sampter put up a poll on Twitter at Maggie and Pearl. But how did you decide the four names to put in this poll? I am just curious why you chose those four names.
Well, I think I'm not saying that they're the.
And who are they? Who?
So the four that we have are Payton, Montana, Elway, and Marino. From what I've gathered through years in the industry and reading various different things, it's for the most part the consensus top five. Unitas sometimes sneaks in there, but we had the conversation yesterday about, Unitas, Wilt, and Jim Brown in different eras, so it's kind of tough to put Unitas on the list. Some people might put Brett Favre on the list, but again, he kind of has fallen out of favor a little bit just as you look at some of his numbers. So I think those are the 5, Brady, Montana, Payton, Elway, Marino, as for the most part the consensus top 5. I thought about putting an other category.
Wait, why don't you just put Payton versus Montana?
I could have done that too.
Well, I was wondering
That's
too.
That's the debate, at least on this show today.
That's for you guys, but I would put Elway number 2 for myself, which is very odd because right now Elway has 0% vote, which I've never seen in a poll.
Is it time? Is it time to put Patrick Mahomes in that poll? That's what I was curious about.
I was thinking about Aaron Rodgers too. I mean, I know Rodgers sometimes it's like easy. He's got so many things about him that are kind of easy to poke fun at, but I mean, on pure talent.
It'd be hard with one Super Bowl because I do think you measure them by Super Bowls. But Mahomes has got 2. He was drafted in 2017. I know he sat out his first year, but he's got about 6 years under his belt. He's going to be in this poll very soon.
Oh, I think so.
He might already be in it, and I was thinking about putting him in instead of Marino, but a lot of people call Marino the best pure passer ever, so I figured let me just throw him in there. But Mahomes may have actually been a better pick to put in here.
I mean, Mahomes is going to be dominating on all these lists. I don't know if Brady's 7 Super Bowls is ever going to be caught, but we're going to have, and I know exactly what's going to happen too. We're going to have a conversation because Mahomes is so athletically gifted and is going to have the winning if he can stay healthy and keep going and have the vision and have the, redefining the position in ways, I know he's not the first guy to do sidearm passes and stuff, but the no-look stuff and just the creativity. He's kind of like Brady on he's got, Brady shoulder up. There's no one better. Maybe Peyton Manning.
Well, the problem is going to be, though, that Mahomes keeps getting hurt. And that's no joke. Like, he cannot sprint around 7 times back there. He was limping. I still don't understand how he did that at what he took at the halftime to beat the Eagles last year, because that's the one thing that I worry about with him. Even the year that they lost to the Bucs, he was hurt in that playoff. So it's been multiple postseasons where he's been injured. I mean, Joe Montana, but that's the thing. Like, a lot of guys get hurt. Tom Brady just stood back there, rarely got hurt.
855-212-4CBS. Adam is in West Virginia, wants to weigh in on our question today, second greatest quarterback of all time. Hey, Adam, how are you?
Doing well. Thanks for taking my call. A couple points in support of Maggie. One, in Indianapolis, I used to go to the games before Peyton Manning, and you could hear people knitting in that stadium. And 2, before Peyton Manning, Indiana and Indianapolis in particular was an IU and a basketball state, and everything was red and white. And then under Manning, everything became blue and white, and Indianapolis hasn't experienced anybody as good or had such an impact as since he left.
Yeah, I mean, Adam, I would think who's beyond, Indiana and Bobby Knight's probably Reggie Miller probably too, right? I don't know, but you're right. Yeah. They call it thank you so much for the call, the house that Peyton built, right?
Sure.
And there's a reason for that because he was so dominant. And, Perloff, you like to say, oh, well, Peyton Manning beat up on a bad division. I mean, what do you think Tom Brady was doing all those years? I know Brady also has the playoff success, but all those home playoff games are because no one else in the AFC East could get their act together, and Brady just went through that division sliced and diced.
Well, yeah, but Peyton had all these home playoff games too. He came in the number 1 seed like every year and almost usually lost his first game. By the way, it's not like the Niners were good before Montana. Do you understand? They had 2-2-14 years. I remember there's a Sports Illustrated cover where they brought in O.J. Simpson at the end of his career, like, oh, this guy's going to resuscitate the franchise. They were terrible, even worse than Indianapolis. So I think that argument, every great quarterback has that argument. Nobody comes into a great team except for Mahomes. I think Brady took over a terrible Patriots team, so that's very common.
Well, the other part, though, is that Manning never had, all-time great defenses, yet he played consistently against all-time great defenses, especially in the playoffs. Pittsburgh Steelers, Baltimore Ravens, New England Patriots. These were incredible defenses. We talk about one Super Bowl against the Seattle Seahawks. You and I did a great debate series 2 weeks ago, greatest teams of the last 30 years, and we put the Legion of Boom on that as a top 5 team of all time.
Yeah, but Peyton was terrible in that game.
He was terrible in that game, but I'm just saying that they had these great defenses. Like Brady's first 3 Super Bowls were basically defense-first teams. Those 2003 and 2004, those were the defenses who were winning.
And it was special teams.
Adam
too.
Vinatieri.
It was special. But you know what? I mean, listen, Peyton did have He had one surefire Hall of Famer, Dwight Freeney, and then he had two borderline, Robert Mathis and Bob Sanders. And the years they did win the Super Bowl, those guys actually stepped up. And I totally agree that he didn't have the defense, but at certain times he did. Mahomes doesn't really have anything on defense.
No, Mahomes' defenses, so that will be a case for when we do Mahomes as the second greatest. You're right. Mahomes' defenses haven't been awesome, but we're sitting here talking about Chris Jones not being at Chiefs camp, and that's going to be a big problem.
I have an uncomfortable question. In a big game, this might sound stupid, but who would you want, Payton or Big Ben?
Okay. Talk about listen, Ben Roethlisberger was fine. He was good in most of his playoff games. Obviously, the one Super Bowl, the first one he won, was a little more in spite of him.
23 years old.
Yeah, I get it. He had some great defenses, too.
I don't know. Did he?
Yeah, he did. Steelers, those calling cards were defense.
I mean, the one they beat them, the Cardinals shredded them in the second half.
Well, that was just the Super Bowl. I'm talking about
James Harrison had a 101-yard interception return at the end of the half, and he won Defensive Player of the Year. That was
the Packers shredded them in the Super Bowl too. There's no doubt about that.
But we're talking about, all right, in that big game. I'm talking about consistently those defenses. One game in the postseason.
I hope you'd go Manning. If you
I would go Manning.
But I'm just saying, just the fact that I think it's and I hate to say this name, but Eli's up there too.
But Eli's got the two great runs. Outside of that, he never won another playoff game.
Well, he never got. How many other playoff games did he get to?
Well, that's the problem. It's like that's why Payton is going to blow Eli out of the water here. Because this was what I really think happened to Peyton Manning. He was such a cerebral player that I think once he got to the postseason, and especially a lot of those times when they had number one seeds and he had a bye, he psyched himself out so hard. I think he overstudied. He was over preparing. I know that's not going to win him any sympathy votes here, but it's like he psyched himself out because he was just, it was was too much on the mental side.
That's a jump.
That's what I think happened.
And yes, that's a jump in the sense that how could you possibly know that? Because I've never heard Peyton say that. I think it's because they fattened up on expansion teams and had a 12-4 or 14-2 record, and that just were not ready for prime time.
I think they were running into better defenses.
The other thing, too, is when you take you take these indoor quarterbacks and you put them outside, I do think that's tough.
Well, yeah, playing in New England, he never had a lot of success. But then the other part, too, is Brady, let's think about this. Brady also went, 10 years without winning? These other great defenses, Brady ran into them, too. And it was...
Yeah, but how many Super Bowls did he get to in that span?
Well, okay, and lost to the Giants, obviously, but still, it's not like it was so perfect for him either. And Peyton Manning had to deal with all those great defenses and then also had to deal with Brady. Tough. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. RPC says Maggie's making up biographical facts about Peyton Manning. I said it was a theory.
It was a theory. Thank you. That was my point. But
I said a theory. That was my theory on Peyton Manning.
Would text me at 3 in the morning and say, I can't sleep, Maggie.
I can't stop thinking about Troy Polamalu. Oh, my gosh. Maggie Perloff. Coming up, former Green Beret. Nate Boyer's going to join us. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Oh boy, there's a lot of jelly left. I thought she was making progress. There's a lot of jelly left.
See, I told you.
She needed to hear.
Fake lifelines that you
Oh
were
my gosh,
giving me.
I think this is going to end up worse than the peanut butter challenge, and I was sick for 4 days.
Oh no.
I'm like, my hands are shaking.
No, this is going.
This is all the
This is
sugar.
going terribly awry. Do you want to take a small break and then maybe we assess your vitals?
I kind of want to just drink a little water and maybe
Yeah.
stand up.
Why don't we
Maybe
do-
just start running out of the office.
Honestly,
Well,
real talk here.
I just
Real
took a
talk
really
here.
big bite there.
Can we get some makeup? You look green.
Please don't tell me I need makeup.
That's mean.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff on CBS Sports Radio. We actually have a new show debate, a new show bet, rather, that we'll get to in just a moment. It's tied to these crazy, exorbitant quarterback contracts that are coming fast and furious. Justin Herbert, just the latest to sign, $262 million, going to average $52.5 million per year.
crazy exorbitant. Jaylen Brown of the Boston Celtics just signed for $304 million for 5 years. If anything, these quarterbacks are underpaid because they touch the football on every play. So, yes, there are big numbers, but probably I don't see a lot of people saying they don't deserve it.
No, it's not that they don't deserve it, but, I mean, the irony is your job gets harder if you want to win a Super Bowl once the quarterback gets paid this much money because of the salary cap. The thing is with basketball, these contracts are nuts in basketball too. I mean, Jaylen Brown's not even the best player on his own team, but, two great guys, you could win a title.
True, but as a Sixers fan, I was like, ooh, they just signed him for $300 million. The Celtics are going to be pinned to that contract and aren't going to be able to get out of it forever, and it's going to totally screw them up.
Okay, so we also have our great debate series going today, and we'd like to get the thoughts on that, actually, from our first guest today. It's Nate Boyer, who we absolutely love. He's an Army Green Beret, of course, who was deployed to both Iraq and Afghanistan, 10-year military career. But if you're a sports fan, you may remember Nate because he played at the University of Texas, walked on, had never played a down of organized football, walked on to UT, and then became the oldest rookie in NFL history at 34 when he played for the Seattle Seahawks. Nate is now hosting a new show, which looks crazy. It's called Survive the Raft. It's happening on Discovery. It premieres July 30th. Nate, thanks so much for the time. It's Maggie and Perloff. How are you?
Thank you, Maggie. I'm good, and good to see. Well, talk to you both.
No, thanks for doing
Andrew, always a pleasure. No, my honor.
Before we get to Survive the Raft and your incredible career, we're doing our great debate series throughout the summer. And so today this week and all throughout, we've been doing the greatest NFL player at their position of all time. Now, we're doing quarterback today, and we've kind of just given it to Tom Brady. This is the only time we've just ceded number one to somebody. It's Brady. So we're arguing over who's the second best quarterback of all time. I went with Peyton Manning. Perloff went with...
Oh, I went with Joe Montana, of course.
Nate, where do you fall?
I gotta have to agree with Andrew. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a Niner fan. I grew up in the Bay. But beyond that, I always love it. And Brady has this too. These guys, the measurables, they're not running a 40 anytime soon. And all that stuff, they're not throwing up all this weight, but they just win. They just find a way, and their accuracy and, obviously the acumen of the game and just, he's a champ,
Nate, so you were, of course, a long snapper at University of Texas. Is there a greatest of all time long snapper? We're debating how many positions do we do. Is there anyone in the business that you guys talked about who is just awesome?
Well, it's definitely not me. I'll lead with that. Yeah. That's for sure. There's so many legends that did it for so long and did it so well. I'll give a shout out right now to Joe Cardona. New England. He went to the Naval Academy, and the guy could throw it back there, man. It was a lot of velocity and accuracy and all that. He was drafted actually the same year. I had that opportunity in Seattle. So I'll go with Joe. He's still out there. He's still hanging tough. But there's just so many. There's so many legends. Patrick Manley with the Bears, John Darrenbos with the Eagles. His story is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Well, for me, he's the coolest, aside from you, of course, because he's a touring magician, which is unbelievable.
Unbelievable. And what he overcame as a child, the trauma he experienced as a kid, and then where he got, and even his story of how, he didn't even like long snap in high school, and he was trying to get into schools, and he sent in, this is what I've heard, he sent in an edited up game tape of him playing linebacker, but then also the actual long snapper for his high school snapping it, and then cutting up the footage so it looks like it's him snapping the ball or something. So he gets this, he goes to UTEP, and he's never long snapped, and he gets there and they're like, you're not good at this. How did you get in here? And then he starts figuring it out, and a year or two later he's starting, and then the rest is history.
That sleight of hand stuff, those magicians. You got to watch out for them. Nate Boyer is our guest. He's a Army Green Beret, was deployed in Iraq and Afghanistan, had a 10-year military career, and then added football into the mix at UT and then with the Seattle Seahawks when he came back. And he's got a new show, and it's called Survive the Raft. And listen, Perloff is obsessed with any kind of survival anything. The irony of that, Nate, is amazing because I don't know if Perloff could survive outside of New York City for 5 seconds. But, you guys are putting 9 people on a raft. You're setting them adrift in the Pacific Ocean, and they have to do challenges and just basically try not to kill each other. How different were the people that you put together on this raft? Like, how varied were their backgrounds?
They had nothing in common except they were humans, I mean, really diverse group, which was awesome. And this is based on a social experiment that was done 50 years ago. This anthropologist in 1973, his name was Santiago Genovese, and he put 10 people on a raft, and they floated from the Canary Islands in Spain to Mexico. And these were not sailors, you know what I mean? They're going across the Atlantic, and they're just having to figure all this stuff out as they go and trying to learn. They had different skills, but like, this is not something they'd all embarked on. And they were very diverse, the different politics, religion, sexual orientation, you name it. And they had to figure it out, and they made it. They made the trip. I mean, it was not without a lot of controversy and, and sex and violence and near mutiny, like everything you want in a great story. But so we recreated it now 50 years later in, once again, a pretty divisive time. 1973, it was coming out of the Vietnam War and Watergate and Roe versus Wade. And like, now Roe versus Wade is back in the headlines again. And obviously we're coming out of the war in Afghanistan, and there's so many other divisive things in our country. Discovery thought it was the perfect time to create a show like this that, yeah, it's entertaining. And yes, there's money at stake and challenges and, survival and all these things happening, but also kind of an important show, at least in my opinion. And I guess people being thrust into these conversations and having to learn about one another and having to put aside their differences and like truly be vulnerable and listen and learn. And not everybody can do it, And so that was the intent of the show. And that's what we were able to really capture. And I mean, I learned a lot just from hosting it, and I wasn't even one of the participants.
Nate, I saw the trailer, and I have to be honest, as somebody who needs my own room and my own space, there's nowhere to hide on this raft at all, right? So basically, for the most part, they're really stuck together all day.
I mean, they're sleeping, head toe, like sardines underneath the top deck there in case it's raining. Because I mean, we're in the Pearl Islands in Panama. The weather changes like that. The tides are constantly changing. It's rough seas. It's pouring sideways, and then it's baking sun, and there is nowhere to run. There is nowhere to hide. You don't get that alone time, and I guess that's sort of the point. Like, when you're in a situation like that and you can't go back to your creature comforts and your own devices, and like me, I like to get out in the woods and go on a hike and just be by myself and not have to listen to anybody or think about anything I don't want to think about. You don't have that luxury anymore. So for 21 days, you are with these people, and you've got to just figure it out. How are we going to? We've got this challenge of the day. We've got to meet. And we've also got to eat and sleep and all these other things. Like, how are we going to do that? There's no way to do it alone. We have to do this together as a team. And I mean, that's the point of the show. But yeah, I'm with you. I didn't have to stay on that raft. It's only 60 by 40 feet, so it's not very big. I can't imagine what it was like for them living 24/7 out there, cameras in your face, but at the same time, like, having to be very much yourself. And whew, no, thank you.
I know, Nate. Geez, it's like I'm feeling anxious about it. I'm not even on the show. It comes out July 30th. It's on Discovery. I was thinking, what would be tougher? A bunch of strangers from varied backgrounds, or like a bunch of married couples? Oh, it would be so tough. Anyway, Nate, I mentioned before you're a Army Green Beret, and Perloff is obsessed with survival shows and all this stuff. And for our audience out there too, is there a survival tactic or something that you learn from being a Green Beret that you can actually share with people like Perloff or people in our audience? Like, the number one survival tactic from an Army Green Beret is what?
Well, first of all, I'll tell you about the 3 rules, the 3 most important rules of being a Green Beret, right? Rule number 1, look cool. Rule number 2, don't get lost. And rule number 3 is, if you get lost, look cool. So if you can remember that, you could survive any situation. No, I mean, I think in the Special Forces and the Green Berets, which is very much tied into this show, honestly, but the number one survival skill we have to maintain and learn is assimilating to other cultures and like kind of putting aside your own beliefs. And, they always say like the winning hearts and minds and all that stuff. It's not so much even winning the hearts and minds. It's just like appreciating hearts and minds that are different than yours. And, understanding like if you have a mission and a goal and you're trying to get people on your team to realize that goal and that mission, you've got to have that humility and understand that your way maybe isn't the only way. And there's other ways to go about things. So for me, that was a big one. Also, I think just knowing, this is from more of a pure survival aspect that maybe you're pointing at, but understanding like the body is so resilient and it is capable through all the pain and discomfort you're feeling of continuing on for a very, very long time. For instance, I'm running 100 miles next month.
Wow.
Up in Leadville. And I'm going to try to do it anyway. I don't know. I don't want to say I'm doing it because I'm going to try. But for me to think about that just a couple of years ago before I started running, can I go 100 miles? No way my body can do that, but it can, and your body can do the same thing if you're lost in the woods for a long period of time. So, not panicking and just trying to maintain your calmness and figure out, where the water is and then follow the water downstream. And eventually you'll find people. Depends on the situation, but your body can handle a lot and so can your mind.
Nate, this question I think is relevant to sports too. Under stressful situations, I think a lot of people that are thinking go sideways. Their logic is out the door. What's the Green Beret approach to that? Say you're under fire or you're lost or something. I think a lot of people I know just tend to panic and then don't think straight. So
how do you keep a calm mind?
What's the strategy to deal with that?
Well, what we're taught first and foremost when we're, in training is we're never doing anything alone. And it's all about the man or woman on your left and right. If you maintain that mindset and it's never about you or you alone, it is so much easier to stay focused, and not get complacent because you're like, well, the last thing I want is for the person next to me to be unsuccessful or to not make it out of the situation because I was, in my head about this thing. And so it just like, it's banged into us from the beginning. And everything we do is with a group, even if it's just two people. We call your battle buddy. You never go anywhere without your battle buddy. And then in those situations, whether you like them or not, whether you're friends with them, whether you got anything in common, that person would be willing to do the same thing for you. So you're willing to do it for them. And it just sort of, that kind of just rises above. And that, when they have what people say, my training takes over and all that stuff. It's really like, it comes from that place though, of sort of love for one another. And like, no matter what, I'm going to do everything I can to keep you safe and to bring you home. And so you're thinking about those other people around you. You're not thinking about yourself. And that translates to sports. Successful teams, when they do that, I spent a very short time with the Seahawks, but seeing that sort of culture in the locker room that the players had embraced and were developing themselves was just like, man, I was like, this is why this team wins. This is why they're successful. It's all about each other. It's not really a me thing. And that's tough to find in the NFL and probably any professional sports.
All right, Nate, 100-mile race. How many bathroom breaks in 100 miles? What's the game plan?
Well, I'm not taking a break.
You can't go 100 miles.
If I just got to pee, I'm just going to keep going. And,
okay.
I'm not going to do it in my pants, but like.
You're going to pee while you run, Nate?
Yeah. Unfortunately, in that situation, being a guy, there is a great advantage there. Right?
Another advantage.
So that's the deal. But it's cool. I'm glad you brought that up again. So I'm doing it for MVP, Merging Vets and Players. Vetsandplayers.org is an organization I co-founded with Jay Glazer. And I'm running in honor of MVP. And so go please check us out. And you can join us. We're doing this thing 100 miles through the end of August. If you can put in 100 miles to the end of August, you get this really cool T-shirt and all that. So go to vetsandplayers.org and check that out. You can join me on the 100-mile challenge.
All right, Perloff will get right on that. Nate Boyer is now the host. Survive the Raft. It's on Discovery, July 30th. Army Green Beret, of course. Nate, thanks so much. Appreciate it. And best of luck with the show and with the race.
Thank you, Maggie and Perloff. Love you guys.
Appreciate you so much,
Nate. Thank you.
100 miles. Peeing while you run?
No, there's two things that have described to me that are just not going to happen.
What's that?
100 miles without a bathroom break, survive the raft, staying on a boat with no privacy for multiple days on end. That is not happening.
No, I
They
don't.
could call me up and say, you can win $500,000 on Survive the Raft. Nope. I'd rather be, my favorite show is Alone, where you're alone in the wilderness and you try and make it 100 days and live off the land. That's fine because you don't have other people. Other people would drive me crazy.
That's the kind of teamwork here at the Maggie and Perloff show that we really thrive on. No, I get it.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking you on that raft would not be happy either.
I am a personal space kind of person. know, I need that personal space.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to watch this because I'm very curious. Well, I mean, those people are going to kill each other 3 days in.
Honestly, though, the peeing while you run,
I didn't quite understand
feels extreme. Can't you just stop by the side of the road and take a leak?
Yeah, I mean, you're running 100 miles. Is 3 seconds going to really cost you that much? And marathon people stop all the time.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, right?
I have not run one. Have you?
No, because I want to pee in a bathroom.
Have you run a 5K? You have, right?
A 5K, yes, but that's not.
You made it all the way through?
And I made it all the way through the 20 minutes without having to go to the bathroom. All right. See you guys on the phone to get back to the great debate series, of course. We're debating the second greatest quarterback of all time because Brady is the best. So who's second? I say Peyton Manning. Perloff says Joe Montana. We'll also debate the greatest pass rusher of all time. Number one, Perloff and I do not agree. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Maggie, Perloff, and you on CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. Minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The show is sponsored by the United States Postal Service, introducing USPS Ground Advantage, reliable and affordable 2 to 5 day package shipping. United States Postal Service. It is Maggie and Perloff. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff with you. Great debate series continues. We're doing quarterback and pass rusher today. Greatest individual player at their position in the history of the NFL. So we were doing quarterback, but we're doing second greatest quarterback of all time.
Yes, and I have Montana.
And I have Peyton Manning. We've just given the floor to Tom Brady. How are we going to debate that? I mean, he's so far ahead. He's put a lot of distance between himself and whoever is second. So Perloff has Joe Montana. I have Peyton Manning. Stu, let's hit the music. Let's do pass rusher.
The Great Debate Series. Best pass rusher ever.
All right, Mr. Perloff, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
So it's a bit tricky because we said best pass rusher, so that means 4-3 defensive ends, and of course outside linebackers, and the original outside linebacker, the man who invented the entire game, who changed football forever, is, to me, the number one pass rusher of all time, Lawrence Taylor, LT for short. 3 NFL Defensive Player of the Year awards, which is the most to ever, tied with J.J. Watt and Aaron Donald. And he won an MVP, and there's only been 2 defensive players to ever win MVP. He's the last one to do it. Alan Page of the Vikings was the other one. Not only that, he just redefined the game. No player, I think, on either side of the ball has ever had the impact on strategy that Lawrence Taylor did. Basically, there's a whole movie about it called The Blind Side. Lawrence Taylor was such a disruptive force that offenses had to completely change how they played the game to account for that. And then after Lawrence Taylor did that from his outside linebacker position, there was all these copycats, but nobody could do it like Lawrence Taylor because he was so fast, so big, so strong, and so aggressive. He was nasty on the field. I saw him almost murder Ron Jaworski and then follow him into the parking lot and say, I'm going to take out your family, too.
Boy.
I was just kidding about that. But he hit you so hard, your quarterback so hard, that he deflated the whole team. I think he other players did that too. Deacon Jones obviously was an unbelievable pass rusher. There were guys way before LT, but LT was so different than anything the NFL had seen before. And I think defenses are still trying to catch up with that now. So for me, that was an easy choice. Best pass rusher, Lawrence Taylor. Who do you got?
Well, I think most people think that it's Lawrence Taylor, but those people would be wrong. The best pass rusher of all time is Reggie White. Reggie White played in more games than LT, more sacks than LT, better stats than LT. Now, listen, Reggie White didn't drop back into coverage. Reggie White was hand in the dirt. Reggie White was in there amongst the biggest players and the big guys and still was dominant. He has the 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, same amount of All-Pros as Lawrence Taylor with 8. And Reggie Miller on the biggest stage.
Reggie White.
Excuse me, Reggie White. Reggie Miller never won
Reggie Miller
anything.
did, Reggie White told Spike Lee, take that, Spike.
The body type's not the same. Reggie White, 3 sacks in the Super Bowl that they won against New England when he was in Green Bay. Meanwhile, I know this is a little bit different, but LT, no sacks in either of the 2 Super Bowls that he did win. 12 double-digit sack seasons over the 15 years. For LT, it was 7 over 13 years, so it was just sustained. And, if you don't believe me about why Reggie White was a better pass rusher than Lawrence Taylor, here is Barry Sanders, the greatest running back of all time, talking on the Rich Eisen.
I struggle to say between Lawrence Taylor and Reggie White. I'll just say Reggie White. The way he dominated the defensive end position when he played. The week of practice, you would always see our coaches, our offensive coordinators taking out certain plays in the playbook, saying, no, we're not going to run this to Reggie's side, making all these adjustments in the game plan for him, and you still couldn't stop him.
There you go. And that's from Barry Sanders.
Yeah. I thought this was pass rusher, not run stopper.
Well, we're talking about,
Well, okay. Well, if you're going to have Barry Sanders sound, can I have one of the most scintillating descriptions of a player I've ever heard? Mr. Electricity himself, Bill Belichick, talking about his former player, Lawrence Taylor.
When you think back to his rookie year, what do you think contributed to him assimilating so quickly to the NFL?
His dominance. I mean, the greatness of Lawrence Taylor. He's bigger, stronger, faster, more explosive. Even though he didn't really know what he was doing, instinctively as a football player, he's at the very top of the list.
All right, well.
That was riveting.
Yeah, he picked up the energy a little bit there at the end.
Really sold me on that.
Everyone tells me that Bill Belichick says all these incredible things about Lawrence Taylor, and I look at the quotes, they all kind of sound like that. But in Bill Belichick speak, that's a high compliment.
That's true. He talked about him for more than 1 second, so that means he's probably the greatest.
There's a darn movie called The Blind Side. Who do you think they're talking about? They're not talking about Reggie White. They're talking about Lawrence Taylor. The Blind Side, a whole movement, getting in an extra tight end. Why do you think left tackles get so much money?
I know.
Because of guys like Lawrence Taylor and Reggie White. I mean, Reggie White was obviously, as an Eagles fan, I got to give props to the Minister of Defense. But Lawrence Taylor was just more revolutionary in my mind than Reggie White.
Yeah, and I would say, while LT was more revolutionary because he did drop back in coverage, he does have interceptions too, stuff like that. It's just Reggie was the sustained dominance, Like, he was double-digit sacks every single year.
Yeah, but he was on that great line with the Eagles. He had Clyde Simmons and Jerome Brown.
And LT was on a great defense, too. Harry Carson and Carl Banks.
Yeah, those guys weren't bad.
Yeah, I mean, they all
Yeah, but I mean, like, who was coaching? Oh, yeah, that was Bill Belichick and Bill
Parcells.
So, yeah, but Reggie, part of the reason Reggie had all those sacks is because Buddy Ryan is like, listen, our only goal in life is to get sacks. We don't care if we win the game.
Rex has continued that, actually.
We're just going to run after the quarterback with all we got. He's like, I don't care if you over-pursue the entire play by 50 yards. Just go after the quarterback.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. So there you go. Greatest pass rusher of all time. I say Reggie White. Perloff says LT. Let's go to Josh, who's in Harrisburg, wants to weigh in on our quarterback conversation. Second greatest quarterback of all time. I say Peyton Manning. Perloff says Joe Montana. Hi, Josh. How are you?
Hi, Maggie. Can you level with me?
Yeah.
Are you guys just making conversation for conversation's sake, or are these your real opinions on who's the GOAT?
Well, there are real opinions. That's why we had to take Brady out of it, because we both agreed so hard that Brady is the greatest quarterback ever. We had to go to second greatest quarterback ever.
Okay, because I thought it was funny that you guys just seated Brady as the GOAT when LeBron and MJ was like this big debate. I mean, to me, Montana is closer to Brady than he is to Peyton Manning. I mean, if you think about it, the 49ers would have three-peated if, speaking of Lawrence Taylor, wasn't it Lawrence Taylor who snapped his leg like a twig?
I think it was
91?
I think it was Leonard Marshall, actually. I just was looking at that, but same difference.
Yeah, I mean, he was just such a clutch player in the postseason, and you can't always say that about Peyton.
Well, no, but I also had Barry Sanders as my greatest running back of all time, and Barry's postseason is not awesome. I mean, there's one postseason game where Barry ended up with negative yardage for the game, but I don't think that impacted him being the greatest of all time. Peyton Manning, sustained, consistent, changed the position in a lot of ways in terms of how he was calling the game. Like, I think that Peyton Manning has a case. There you go. Josh, thank you so much for the phone call. Do you think we could have done, you love Joe Montana. Joe Montana's number 2 on your list.
Yeah.
I love Joe too, by the way. This is not an either or. Could we have done Brady versus Montana? I don't think so.
I don't think so. No, and you hear that a lot. You do hear the Brady versus Montana.
We heard that a lot.
Because Montana, I know, you're right. You don't hear it as much. The 4-0 for Montana in the Super Bowl is what people said was the edge over Brady. But when Brady won in Tampa Bay, that just put it to rest.
Honestly, I think Brady put it to rest. It wasn't just Tampa. I think it was the comeback against the Falcons. There had never been something like that, and watching it was like slack-jawed.
But you know what, though? That was, that he got one more. That helped, too. I mean, I think he put the debate to rest. Like, you really got to get ahead of him. So I think... we're looking back on that was incredible what he did against Atlanta, and I think he was number 1 at that point. But there were still a lot of Montana fans out there.
No doubt. I mean, that's like the people who love Jordan going for 6 for 6 in finals. I'm like, well, LeBron did make 10 finals, even though he only won 4. Yes,
it is not the same. But okay.
The other thing with Montana is you talk about how they did against their contemporaries, right? Montana won a lot of games, went to 4 Super Bowls, won 4 of them. He never led the league in passing. Led the league in touchdowns twice. One of them was in a shortened year where he had 17 touchdowns in 9 games. But he's really led the league in a full season one time in one major category. Never in passing yards, one time in touchdowns. Brady, and same thing with Manning, Brady early on was like, okay, my defense is going to do all this. I'm going to kind of be a game manager. Then he became a passer, and he started writing record books with his passing yards and touchdowns, too. Montana was never a numbers guy.
Well, the rules changed, too, that helped Brady.
Sure, but again, against his contemporaries, whatever the rules are, Montana, if he's the greatest, would have at least led the league, whether the numbers are lower than what Brady had. He would have led the league a couple years in passing yards or more often in touchdowns. He never did because they had such talent on defense and Jerry Rice and all these things. He never had to do it. So, like, Montana just... He won because he was the best quarterback. It was kind of like Troy Aikman, a very good quarterback on a great team that just happened to win a lot.
Well, I mean, you're right, though. They would get leads, and they did not, it's not a passing league back then. They would run on a lead, so he wasn't going to accumulate a lot of yards. So back then...
Right, but other quarterbacks he was going against accumulated a lot of yards.
Yeah, because they were on worse
teams. Anybody else in yards.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you're going to go for that, then you got to have Matthew Stafford in your top 10 quarterbacks of all time. You got to have, you got to seriously look at Jameis in this debate if you're going to start doing that, because obviously that's the problem. That's actually my biggest problem with Peyton Manning is these numbers are so hollow because of the era to me that they're almost to the point of meaningless. That 55 touchdown season was incredible, but was it really, though? Because it was, Brady had just done 50, and every Tom, Dick, and Harry was throwing 40 touchdowns because the defenses couldn't adjust to the new rules, and they were just tearing them apart.
I don't know. I got to really disagree with you. I don't think Manning's numbers feel hollow to me. That always felt like I was watching... Like, I'm watching someone who's doing it better than everyone else.
Really? Wow. I feel like that era in 2007 to about 2012, when Brady got the 50 and then Manning got 55.
See, I think you're thinking about what we've seen from 2012 maybe to now, 2022. Where
the numbers have calmed down a little bit.
Yeah, are they? I mean, if a guy doesn't throw for at least 4,000 yards, we're like, what a bum.
Well, I mean, the most yards of the season, the top 2 are Payton in 2013 and then Drew Brees in 2011. There was a point where it was just getting completely silly.
Yeah.
And it was Brady. I don't know. All these numbers are.
But they stood out.
Not really. I mean, they were like, listen, Payton had huge numbers. There were guys right behind him. The numbers were insane back then, the passing numbers.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Chris in Texas is calling in. Not shocked that you were going to bring this one in. Hi, Chris. How are you?
All right.
What do you got for us?
I disagree with both of you.
Okay.
Number 12 with the star on his helmet. The Roger the Dodger, Captain Comeback.
Mm-hmm. Listen, Roger Staubach's amazing. I understand what you're talking about. I think if you're doing like a top 10 list, Chris, Staubach's definitely on it. We're talking about the second greatest of all time.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
But I grew up almost worshiping that man.
Yeah.
There's a lot to admire about Roger Staubach. I mean, the football side of it is just one part. Chris, thanks for the phone call.
It's really hard to judge Bradshaw and Staubach because the era was so different.
Yeah.
I mean, I do sometimes think, wow, if those guys played today, they would put up huge numbers.
Well, of course. I mean, Staubach had to leave to go fight in World War II.
Yeah, and it's just his style.
Was it World War II?
No. No.
Vietnam, you're thinking. But he was in the Navy, so
Navy,
he had the commitment.
Sorry.
Dated him a little bit.
I didn't mean it. I just had it in my head.
Yeah, I think it was also, he was a smaller guy, too. He wasn't huge. He would be amazing in today's game. He was mobile as all get out. And Bradshaw is interesting, too, because Bradshaw's numbers are not good. But if you put him in today's game, with good coaching, I'm curious what he'd do.
Well, that's the whole thing, right? I mean, I know Montana was a better quarterback than Bradshaw, but 4 Super Bowls. Like, it's not like that hasn't been done.
Yeah, I mean, look at the numbers of Bradshaw in those Super Bowls.
I know. It's different.
It's a totally different game. It's very, very hard to do.
Quickly, Scott's in California. Hi, Scott.
Hey, guys. Nice talking to you again. I cannot argue with any of your decisions. I think the bringing out Blindside for LT was, that Joe Theismann hit starts that movie. And but G. White, as a Viking fan, obviously a pain in my thorn or pain in my rear end. But you mentioned Alan Page earlier, and of course that triggered me. But one of the things about Alan Page, I just want to throw this out to your listeners, is that as he was in playing and doing all that, being a Purple People Eater, he was also going to law school. He became the first African American to sit on the Minnesota State Supreme Court.
Yeah.
So he had a great, brilliant legal career. One of the original Purple People Eaters. I don't think he's, Reggie White or LT, but I don't know. I just appreciate bringing in his name up. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Scott, thank you. Yeah, retired not that long ago, Alan Page, from being a judge.
Yeah. Funny, too, the one that always sticks out to me, Carl Eller was on that team, right? But isn't that, and Ack, you can help me, wasn't the guy who ran in the wrong end zone?
Jim Marshall.
Yeah, he was great, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, but that play.
That's really hard to live down.
It is the funniest play in the history of football.
You've seen it happen. I've seen it happen in real life in basketball games.
Well, that's it. Okay. But that's not as impactful as a touchdown.
It's so funny.
Yeah, so as important as Alan Page was, I always think of Jim Marshall running. He ran like 70 yards the wrong way. He was so psyched when he got to the end zone.
I know, but it has to be like, oh my gosh, why is no one chasing me?
Also, we do have to, the Deacon Jones, they didn't keep sacks back then.
Yeah.
I mean, he is incredible. And he had the head slap. So he would slap guys in the head. They had to pull it out for him. I mean, I don't know if anyone was better than him.
Sorry, when someone runs the wrong way towards something, it always reminds me of my favorite line from the movie Trains, Planes, and Automobiles, where Steve Martin and John Candy are driving down the wrong way of a highway, and so someone goes, they pull up next to him, and they go, "You're going the wrong way." John Candy looks at Steve Martin and goes, "How do they know where we're going?" You're gonna kill somebody. It's so good. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. All right, just an aside there. Coming up, one NFL coach way off base here. I'll tell you what they said. We'll tell you why they're wrong. We'll do all that after this CBS Sports Update with Rich Ackerman.
Sports Flag.
Well, days after Bryce Young signed his rookie deal, the top pick overall, named the Panthers starting quarterback, which comes as really no surprise. Andrew Thomas now has the biggest contract for an offensive lineman, with the Giants signing their left tackle to a reported 5-year deal worth over $117 million and $67 million in guaranteed, the most ever for an old lineman. He was second-team All-Pro last year. Cole Kmet gets a 4-year extension from the Bears, reportedly worth $50 million. $32 million is guaranteed. Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred earned a 4-year extension through the 2028 season. Baseball today, the Brewers take 2 of 3 from the Reds and move a game and a half up on Cincinnati in the AL Central. 3-0 was the final today, and it was Washington over Colorado by a score of 5-4. Right now, bottom of the third, Arizona and St. Louis are even at 2. Nolan Gorman, his 21st homer. Pittsburgh leads San Diego 1-0 in the top of the third. Toronto in front of the Dodgers early by a score of 1-0 in the second. Tampa Bay falls to Miami 7-1. Sandy Alcantara goes the distance. And also it was Cleveland over Kansas City 8-3. Jose Ramirez with a pair of home runs And Seattle down Minnesota 8-7. I'm Rich Ackerman.
Hey, it's Amy Lawrence. Be sure to listen to CBS Sports Radio at home. Just ask Alexa to play CBS Sports Radio.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Got a new show bet for you. We promised we wouldn't do any food challenges. That lasted about 2 weeks. We kind of backed into this one, and it was all centered around Justin Herbert signing this new contract with the LA Chargers. By the way, his quotes today from the team is that this is the only place he's ever wanted to play in his whole life. This is it. Gonna retire a Charger. But he signs today. He also said he owes his teammates a lot of dinners. I'm sure they're going to collect on that. But Perloff and I have a bet going now to see whether Joe Burrow, who's going to be the next quarterback to sign one of these mega deals, is he going to have a bigger contract than Justin Herbert, or is he going to take the team-friendly deal and have a lower contract than Herbert? I think that it's going to be bigger. So if I win, Perloff has to eat a bowl of Skyline chili with no hands. If you win, Perloff, and if Joe Burrow actually takes a lower average annual, like the yearly salary, if he takes a lower one than Justin Herbert, then I have to eat the Skyline chili, no hands.
How you feeling?
Not great. I don't know. Yeah, good. I mean, I take that back. I feel great because these contracts keep going up.
I think Burrow is a little better than Herbert, so it would make sense. I just feel like Joe Burrow has one person in mind when he looks at his career. He wants to be Tom Brady. And I think that's my thinking, is that he knows that Tom Brady took a discount. And Joe Burrow's got very specific people he wants to keep around.
Yeah.
He wants to keep around Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, where Justin Herbert doesn't have. Who does he want to keep around? Austin Eckler? No, he's a running back. And they just drafted a wide receiver. So I think
what if Quentin Johnston and, Herbert become like the next tandem?
Well, that's 4 years down the road. I think that Joe Burrow is going to see these contracts with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins coming up right now. That's why I feel some confidence. Although I think Burrow deserves more, I think this the way he is with that team right now. Also, let's be honest. The real estate in L.A. compared to the real estate in Cincinnati, does Burrow really need more than $250 million?
Listen, I'm not going to count another person's money. Plus, the interest rates these days, it is wild out there. Anyway,
let's look up the most expensive house in Cincinnati compared to the most expensive house in L.A.
Well, you do that. Speaking of trying to make money on the side, Shaun Payton had some interesting quotes that he gave to USA Today about players who are getting caught and busted for gambling on sports. Now, there was a second-year defensive lineman for the Broncos who has now been suspended indefinitely because he was betting on NFL games last season. And so Payton said this: when you have a bunch of players getting Ds, you have to start looking at the message. And we've had a lot of Ds in our league this year with the policy, shame on us. So essentially what he's saying is that the policy, either the way it's written or the way it's being communicated to the players, is convoluted, I guess, or the fact that that all these guys keep getting caught for gambling means that somehow the league has to do something about it. Like, why would he ever blame the league for the poor decisions that players are making? I don't understand why you would shift the accountability there. That makes no sense. Shaun Payton sounds ridiculous in these quotes.
So it doesn't bother you at all that the league is making millions and millions, maybe even billions, off of marketing these gambling apps, and then when these profit machines are actually being used by their players, they're taking millions and millions of dollars away from those players? I understand why Shaun Payton's like, just something doesn't seem right about this. It seems like gigantic hypocrisy.
Okay, but the players do get a slice of the gambling money, right? Because it's like revenue that's split between the teams and the players. So they are getting something for it. And listen, I think there's probably a lot of players where they look at alcohol ads or Pepsi, Coke ads and stuff like that, and they don't drink any of that. Just because the league advertises with somebody doesn't mean you have to partake in it.
But they are marketed. First of all, I do think that they watch those beer ads and they probably drink the beer. That's why marketing exists, because it forces people to do things.
But if you're on this is a little bit off the path, but if you're on a strict diet and then you can't drink beer or drink soda. Just because you market and have an marketing deal with the league doesn't mean you have to use the product.
I could tell you so many. Listen, my college football team was just an Ivy League school. Had said no beer rule for the season. Every single player broke that.
Okay, but Perloff, you understand what I'm saying? Just because a company rather has a marketing deal with the NFL doesn't mean that the players have to use the company.
They don't have to, but it feels just off that the NFL is just whacking these players left and right for gambling. And usually, it's one thing if you could prove that they gambled against their own team or something like that or affected a game. But it's not, it's not Alex Karras in 1961. I think we are, sophisticated enough about gambling to understand that, for example, Calvin Ridley's $1,500 bets was not this gigantic this horrible, horrible crime against the sport of football. I thought that was ridiculous that he lost a whole year for that.
Okay, but the rules are there. And the idea that the players can't understand them or, don't understand them is such a slap in the face to the players. These are grown men. You can ask the team, you can ask your union, you can ask your agent to clarify any of this stuff if you want to gamble on it. So to say, well, they don't understand it, well, understand it. People might not understand the PED rules. Sometimes those can be a little convoluted, what you can take, what you can't take in terms of supplements. And somehow we don't feel a lot of sympathy when guys break those rules. It's the same thing.
I don't care. When an NFL guy is caught with PEDs, I don't even think twice about it.
Well, that's you, but the league does. The integrity of the league, all of that stuff, it might not matter to you, Andrew Perloff, but it matters to the greater league.
But the league picks and chooses. When all of a sudden the league won an 18th game, they're like, hey, how about some free marijuana? Not free marijuana, but they're like, well, we'll stop testing for marijuana because we won an 18th game. So I just think that...
No, that was because it became so legal in so many states, I think.
No, it wasn't. It was a bargaining chip for the NFL. They basically... And also, too, it was stupid in the year 2022 to test for marijuana.
Attitudes have changed about it, yes.
Yeah. But I do think the league used that to sort of help with their last CBA. They definitely... You don't think they were in the meeting saying, well, we'll get marijuana out of the test.
Yeah, and that's stupid from the union to give up such a big thing as the 18th game for something as sweet. Betting on games is the league's worst nightmare.
Well, so
and for Sean Payton to shift the blame to the league is asinine.
Well, maybe the league shouldn't be in business with FanDuel and DraftKings.
But that helps the players, too. The players also get a slice of that pie.
Regardless, so maybe if it's such a third-rail thing, if it's so dangerous, maybe the league should not be promoting these products.
Well, but it's 10 players since April have been suspended. That's a tiny, tiny little percentage of the league.
So far.
Well, so far. But now you're
good. Wait, 10 players since April?
Yeah.
It hasn't been that long since April.
No, I know, but I don't know how many it's been total since then. But we're not talking about a lot of people here. Most of the guys, 90% of them or more, understand what you can and can't do. Sean Payton's just off base here. Coming up, Mike Vrabel.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This is insane because
Perloff, you knew what you were signing up for.
No, but okay.
All of us did.
I understand that, but I don't see people walking around like, oh yeah, my brother-in-law died from a ghost pepper.
This
has never happened.
Grief.
People are also telling me that after you eat these wings, be very careful if you go to the restroom. For men, to go to the bathroom, you have to use your hands. That can be a very uncomfortable situation.
It's
bad enough for my throat to swell up. I don't want anything down there swelling up.
Maybe you do. I don't know.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Welcome into the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. It is Maggie and Perloff here on CBS Sports Radio. You want to watch the show, come on in. YouTube.com/CBS Sports Radio. The Weedos, the Purple Drinkers in the chat. They're a very nice bunch. Cowboys training camp continues, Perloff. Still no Zach Martin on the offensive line, but Jerry Jones, speaking to reporters, talking about Dak Prescott, the interception bug that he caught towards the end of the season. We really started stacking up INTs. Only had 12 starts, threw 15 picks. That's the most of his career, to go with 23 touchdowns. Jerry was asked about it. Here's his answer.
What last year represented relative to turnovers was unexpected. And I know you've got a track record, and I expect to see what we expect from Dak, which is don't turn the ball over and be protective of the ball, which is what he really, when I think of Dak, that's the first thing that comes to my mind. That's what he does good.
I mean, Jerry's not wrong here. Before the 15 interceptions last year, his career high had been 13, which is still not, I mean, it's high, but that's not egregious, especially when it comes with, I mean, that was his second year in the league. So still getting used to things. But, 13 interceptions, 8, 11, 4, 10, 15 really is the outlier. I do not believe Dak Prescott's going to have an interception problem this year.
I mean, last year was very clear. There's only one target that he felt comfortable with, and that was CeeDee Lamb. If he wasn't throwing to Lamb. So he basically, I think he lacked confidence last year in his targets, and that caused all those problems. So I think he hesitated when he was throwing these outs. He threw some terrible, when the quarterback drops back and you're like, do not throw that pass because it's going to be a pick six.
Yeah, it's like a scary movie. Don't go down the basement.
Well, there was one time where I saw a game where he did it twice in a row. The first time someone dropped it, so he did it again. I just don't think he had confidence, and the whole offense was, ironically, they were 12-5. We're talking about them like they had a terrible season. It's possible also Dak was hurt a little bit last year, hurt his finger week 1 against Tampa Bay.
Missed 5 games.
Yeah, I think the offense is going to be better. But I got to tell you, Maggie, I was watching the highlights from Oxnard.
Yeah.
Don't you get this sense of deja vu with the Cowboys when you see them at training camp? They look so cool in those uniforms, and you see CeeDee Lamb on the jugs machine, and there's all these Pro Bowlers walking around, and Jerry's confident, and they're coming off a double-digit win season, and now it's time to take the next step. But there's always something that holds them back from taking that next step. I don't know what it is. Ever since '96, it's hard to predict what it is. It looks great right now on paper. I just worry that there's always that unknown that affects the Cowboys.
Yeah, you're right. There's like a Groundhog's Day thing because they've kind of been outside of like some 8-8 Jason Garrett seasons. And, you had some ebbs and flows, obviously, through the last 20 years. But, I mean, for the most part, it's kind of been like, they're always sort of contenders. And then, what's going to go wrong? My biggest question for the Cowboys is actually not so much about Dak's interceptions. Because, again, I think they're going to go down. They keep talking about the commitment to running the ball. Yeah. It's like to everyone who can hear, run the ball, run the ball. Are they going to have the, the wherewithal, not the wherewithal, are they going to be able to commit really to that strategy? Or is it going to be something where, you lose 2 games and then all of a sudden it's like, well, we got to really unleash Dak a little bit more. Yeah. Or something like that. They keep saying run the ball. Are they going to actually be able to stick to that philosophy?
Well, that's a funny thing. I don't think of Mike McCarthy as a run-first coach. He's a West Coast passing offense guy. I know there have been some big rushing seasons in Green Bay, but it's always been about the quarterback. So you get rid of Kellen Moore because he's, too explosive? Right? Isn't that the knock on him? That he went for too many big plays, was too aggressive, didn't control the game enough. I'm not sure Mike McCarthy's the guy. You're right. What's his track record of being this great game controller a la Bill Belichick? I don't know. Remember last year, Tony Romo came on our show and said, this is a year where the offensive line establishes dominance and the Cowboys run the ball, and everything starts from there. And it just didn't happen, in part because there were offensive line injuries. Sure. And they kept rotating around. And, of course, Maggie Gray thought that was no big deal. You just plug in anyone off the street.
Yeah, that got me in a little trouble. But I did win a bet off of that, so thank you to the Cowboys.
Well, by the way, and actually, they were 12-5, and their line, you were right in the sense their line came together and was awesome.
Yeah, they were starting a rookie left tackle for most of the year, and he did fine.
Yeah, he did fine.
With Cooper Rush back there for 5 games and went 4-1, right?
You mentioned Cooper Rush. There was something about the Cooper Rush Cowboys. That was the run-first Cowboys, and it looked great until they lost to the Eagles. Yeah, maybe there's something there. I think you bring up a great point. Will they have the discipline to really be a run-first team? And I'm a little skeptical.
Yeah, I mean, they could be. They have a good defense.
Yeah.
I mean, those things usually pair well together. So they should be able to use that. But again, now it's Tony Pollard. He's going to be getting the majority of the snaps, unless our guy Deuce Vaughn's really going to come through and do some things. But
I think they're a little thin there, too, because Tony Pollard's coming off a broken leg. I've been surprised with all these veteran free agents. Why don't they jump on one of those? Right now, the backup is Malik Davis. Oh, they do have Ronald Jones and Deuce. But it does seem like, if Tony Pollard's not 100%.
I just always assume Elliott's coming back at some point.
Okay. Is that what there's a seat that's warm there? That makes a lot of sense.
I just can't really picture him in another uniform, frankly. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Let us know what you think. Do you think that the Cowboys are going to have the discipline, as Perloff said, to really commit to the run? And that's what they're talking. They're preaching a big game, and that's the way that Dak cuts down on the interceptions. I mean, I know every game is different. You get down by 2 scores early, or obviously, you got to start throwing the ball a little bit more. But you know what I mean.
Well, they do have a good receiving corps. CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, and Brandon Cooks now. So you're going to be tempted to get those guys some targets. They drafted a tight end, Luke Schoonmaker. Yeah, I'm not quite sure that they're going to stick to this run thing. I just don't see it. And if Dak is healthy and he has his confidence, I think he lost a little confidence last year. Is that possible? I know he's a multiple-time Pro Bowler. I know he's one of the faces of the league. But I just felt like he wasn't himself.
Hard to say because, he turned in a really great playoff performance against the Bucs.
Yep.
Craig's in the chat, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, says, isn't Dalvin Cook available? Yes, Dalvin Cook is extremely available, but we have not heard one whisper about Dalvin Cook to the Cowboys. Sam, do you look like you want to say something?
Dalvin Cook has some other stuff going on that I don't think he's going to be going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, off the field stuff could be heating up a little bit. Okay. This was interesting. So let us know what you think about the Cowboys. Again, 855-212-4227. I thought this was interesting. So Mike Vrabel, head coach of the Titans, was on the Bussin' with the Boys podcast and was asked about whether or not he could beat Dan Campbell in a fight.
Oh, could you beat Dan Campbell in a fight?
I mean, sure. I think I could beat anybody in a fight except for like Jeff Simmons. No, I mean, we battled on the field.
Who got the better of who on the field?
I don't remember.
Anyone who can't remember probably means it was Campbell. Obviously, 2 guys in super good shape. That would, quite frankly, be the last coach fight I would want to watch. If you're going to give me a good NFL coach fighting another coach, I think what I'd want to see is 2 totally different body types. Like, I want to see Andy Reid against Sean McVay. Let's see, what does the pure tonnage of Andy Reid, could he neutralize a very short yet in shape Sean McVay? Now that's what I'd want to see. I mean, you're talking about who's going to get more pay-per-views. Vrabel versus Campbell, whatever. We see 2 big middle-aged and shape guys. We can watch them fight anywhere. Got YouTube. But where were you going to find Andy Reid fight Sean McVay?
Yeah, you're not.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
What's your coach fight dream?
By the way, do you know that Vrabel and Dan Campbell, I believe, have the same number of touchdowns? Even though Vrabel was a defensive player. Yeah. So Vrabel, actually, I'm looking at Vrabel had 12, I thought, on his career from Tom Brady, and Dan Campbell had 11 career touchdowns. So Vrabel was actually better on offense and obviously better on defense. So the guys, I want to see a tournament of not just one. I want to see all the sort of 40-something quarterback expert coaches. So it's actually a battle royale. We're going to put Kevin Stefanski, Zach Taylor,
Kevin O'Connell.
Well, he's a little big for this. You can't be too big. Put Kyle Shanahan in there. What's the guy? Oh gosh, he's a middle-aged, 6 foot. Oh, Brandon Staley. Yeah, I know he's a defensive coach, but he's a former Dayton quarterback.
Sure.
So all the former Division II quarterbacks. Who is the toughest of that group? Shane Steichen, another Division II quarterback. Any of those guys stick out to you? The skinny, cerebral coaches.
Shanahan's getting dusted, right?
Well, he played. He's a big guy though. He was a wide receiver, right?
Yeah, but I mean, is he a big guy?
I think he
looks kind of skinny to me.
Yeah, I think he's kind of tall.
He's got that skateboarder kind of body.
Zach Taylor's, by the way, pretty big too. He's 6'2", 240, I bet. No, 6'2", 215 or something. All these guys play quarterback, so they all are built like Frank Reich. Same thing. I don't know. Are any of those? Basically, most of the league is a former mid-level backup.
Yeah.
And Doug Peterson. They're all the same guy. I don't know who wins a fight in any of them. So I guess no one wants to see that. The one I would want to see, I want to see Brian Dable wearing a pro wrestling type leotard.
Oh, yeah, the singlet.
I want to see him in a singlet.
Him against Mike McCarthy. That's a lot of weight.
Yes. Now we're talking.
See, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about with the backup quarterbacks, whatever. They're all in shape and whatever. I want to see the big dudes go at it. Like Dayball packs some pounds, and we all know McCarthy.
How about Robert Saleh? He'd be pretty tough.
Now, Saleh's super in shape.
See, I was thinking like an AFC East Saleh versus Mike McDaniel because those two.
Saleh's going to destroy him. McDaniel's
You could take
He's
McDaniel.
squirrely though. He's squirrely.
Come on, he played football at Yale.
I got an outside the box one.
Okay.
A battle of the octogenarians, maybe. Maybe Pete Carroll versus Bill Belichick. They're both 71 years old.
Carroll's going to kill him.
Belichick's pretty
I feel
competitive.
like Bill Belichick is feisty. He's got like a hidden defensive guy, defensive coach.
No, but Belichick's had his nose in a book and been in the film room, since 1980.
No.
Pete Carroll's out there, probably still running stairs and doing that kind of stuff.
Belichick famously would always go on the
Elliptical and read Inside Lacrosse magazine.
Yeah.
You're not going more than like a 3.0 if you're trying to read and work out at the same time. That means you have to read or work out. You can't read and work out at the same time. It means you're not working fast enough.
You know who's sneaky, probably a great fighter?
Who?
Todd Bowles does not strike you.
I'm not messing around with Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles against Ron Rivera. That could be a good fight.
Very serious men. Yeah. You know who everyone would want to see get punched, and even I love him, but I think a lot of coaches around the league would like to take a swing at Nick Sirianni, the Eagles coach, for all his sideline shenanigans. Yeah, I think Sirianni.
Fertilizing the garden. Yeah.
I want to play him in rock, paper, scissors.
He does have a slightly punchable face. Even I will admit that. I love him.
Totally punchable.
Kevin O'Connell is the nicest man. There's no way he couldn't fight with that. Kevin O'Connell would be the last person to fight. He looks like he just came off the beach in California. That guy is not getting involved. McVay versus Sirianni. Sean McVay.
Yeah.
That'd be great. The two guys most people want to see get beat up.
I think Josh McDaniels also has a slightly punchable face.
Yes, he does.
Still, as a Raider fan. Watch DeMeco Ryans face Josh McDaniels. It wouldn't even be a fight.
That's a good one.
You know who randomly has a punchable face, and I don't know why I want to punch his face, but Arthur Smith. Something about Arthur Smith at the Falcons. It's just like he looks like
he's not getting a fight. He's paying someone else to get in that ring.
You just know behind the scenes he's just so rich. It's like I know other coaches are also super rich, but Arthur Smith's got like FedEx money. He's like generational wealth money.
We could actually do a ranking of coaches least likely to get in a fight with Matt LaFleur, Zach Taylor. I mean, can you picture those guys are... There's no way they're getting in a fight with anybody.
Yeah.
Matt LaFleur, have you ever seen him even have a conflict?
No, I have it. 855-2124-CBS, 855-212-4227. So there you go. Dream coach fights is where we're at today.
Can we bring Jim Harbaugh up to the pros for this? Because that is a guy everybody wanted to fight.
But do you have to do Jim versus John?
Yeah. I feel like John wins that, though.
Like the Super Bowl?
You ever see Jim with his fights at the handshake, though? When Jim Schwartz, he made fun of him after the loss, and Jim Schwartz chased him in the locker room. Jim is the ultimate bad guy. He's had multiple fights where Jim has been like, we blew you away. And then everyone's like, I'm going to fight you, dude. He'd be great. John Harbaugh, I don't know. John Harbaugh's a sneaky, tough guy. But you're right. The best one, we got to get some of the big guys in the ring.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. It's time to answer our Ask the Pros question today. It's brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. And today's question comes to us from, get it here, this comes to us from Jerry in Nashville, who wants to know if playing Madden can actually make you a smarter football player. You can submit a question by tweeting at CBS Sports Radio or a Maggie and Pearl using the hashtag #AskThePros. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Interesting. Jalen Petrie of the Houston Texans did say that playing Madden made him smarter.
Yeah, Madden helped me a lot because, believe it or not, really all of the route concepts that these NFL teams are running is on the game. So when you're playing around and you picking these plays, these are plays that these offensive coordinators are picking. So if you continue to see that, you continue to put that in your mind, then when you get out onto the field and you start seeing it, it's going to just start to click and click.
I mean, listen, maybe Kyler Murray, did we have him all wrong here? Maybe playing video games does make you a better football player. Now, I don't know if Murray was playing Madden or some other video game, Mario Brothers or whatever, but...
he was definitely playing Call of Duty, yeah.
Okay, I know Call of Duty. I just love Mario Brothers. But anyway, Mario Kart, rather. But maybe we have this all wrong. Maybe there shouldn't be homework clauses and not playing video game clauses. Maybe we need more video games in our pro football players.
Well, don't they like to give them those VR head glasses and have a defense come at them? That's a training technique and not a game. But secretly, I think...
Fine line.
I think those seem pretty boring, though.
Everything's gamified these days.
Yeah. But I know I've seen the virtual reality where the defense, you have to call the play. I don't think that's any fun. I think Madden's much more fun for these guys.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. All right, coming up, we get back into our great debate series. Today we are debating the greatest quarterback of all time, but with a twist. We've kind of conceded this to Tom Brady. Really not fun to argue if Perloff and I are both on the same side of this thing. So we decided to pick the second greatest quarterback of all time. We'll update you with that, as well as the greatest pass rusher of all time. Perloff and I do not agree on that one either. So we'll get to that in just a moment. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. Minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Great debate series continues. A little bit of a twist today. We're doing greatest player of all time at their position in the NFL. But when we did quarterback, it wouldn't be that fun if Perloff and I both agree that it's Tom Brady. So we decided to go to second greatest quarterback of all time. For that, I chose Peyton Manning. And Perloff, you chose?
Joe Cool himself, Joe Montana.
All right, well, let's get the thoughts of someone who actually played the position at an extremely high level, a Super Bowl champion, and the host of VSiN Prime Time. And that's our pal Shaun King, who joins us right now. Hey, Shaun, how are you?
Excellent. It's 116, and it feels like every degree.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I don't think it's dry heat when it gets above like 110, right?
No, it's just heat.
Well, we're feeling for you. I don't know. How are you staying cool? Like, how do you just not even leave your home?
I try and stay in air-conditioned spaces as much as possible. It's not totally doable, but I'm becoming an expert at it.
Man, well, we feel for you guys out there. It is so hot. It is wild. Where do you come down on our great debate series here? Second greatest quarterback of all time. I say Peyton. Perloff says Joe Montana.
So the context is it based solely on accomplishments or is it based on talent?
Dealer's choice, artist's choice.
All right, because for me it's kind of a tie between Elway and Mahomes.
Wow, okay. Explain.
Like, if I'm drawing up a quarterback and the resume has to have a championship on it, but more so than how many championships, who was the actual player, I just think Elway and Mahomes are the two best representatives of the quarterback position from a talent and accomplishment standpoint. Brady's always going to have the default in the argument because he has the most championships, but he's not like Jordan. Like, I don't know if people view Brady as the greatest talent to ever play quarterback, but they do view him as probably the best in the clutch and the most accomplished.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we need to redefine how we talk about talent then, Shaun, because obviously Tom Brady did something right because he did accumulate Jordan-like stat. Well, not quite Jordan-like, but he did accumulate. He had 50 touchdowns in a season. So clearly he had talent. Maybe it was a different kind of talent?
Well, life's about timing. And he came through. He was a part of a very mature, secure organization. He had a head coach that matched his personality as far as how to prepare and approach the game of football. They had a group of veterans that were kind of selfless in that, for the most part, they stuck together, a lot of times taking less contractually than if they would have left. So, like, a lot of things had to fall in place for the number of championships, but the main one was Tom.
I understand. Shaun King is our guest here, Super Bowl champ, host of VSiN Prime Time. We talk about Mahomes and, like, how high on these lists, like, he'll be at the end of his career. But do you feel like you could really put Mahomes as one of the greatest of all time when he's still so young in his career?
Well, Mahomes has been to 3 Super Bowls, won how many?
2.
2?
Yep.
I mean, who else on that list has more than 2? And so he's already there, almost to Brady as far as amount of championships.
Well, Montana's got 4.
Right. But who else? When you look at the grand scheme of quarterback rankings, there's not a whole lot of guys that we consider great to have more than 2.
Yeah.
Shaun, let me ask you.
He already has 2, and he's at the very beginning of his prime. I'm just projecting a little bit with him, but it's not like I'm doing it with Trevor Lawrence, who's never won 1.
Right.
Shaun, you came in the league in '99, so you didn't see, you weren't there for the '80s. But can you talk about the different eras? How much easier is it to pass, say, from 2004 on, as compared to what guys before it had to do?
Well, it's a different game, and statistically, that's why these younger quarterbacks are going to, accomplish more from a production standpoint than some of the older guys. Like Montana and that West Coast offense, it was a dink and dunk offense. It was a run the football, balanced attack. So he was never going to throw for 5,000 yards, 50 touchdowns. It just wasn't the system. Whereas today, everything's spread offense. It's up-tempo. The greatest correlation or the most contextual point you can make, the only time older offenses were in the shotgun was in 2-minute offense, right before the half, at the end of the game. Now it's when are the new offenses currently ever not in the shotgun.
Right.
So the game has just changed so much. It's so easier to play quarterback now than it used to be. It's easier to throw the ball from the shotgun than it is coming from under center. The game's a lot less physical as it pertains to the quarterback. Like, think about how Joe Theismann got hit when he broke his leg. Think about some of those hits that Joe Montana, took, and Elway. None of those hits were penalized. That was just a part of the game. And now look at Brady last year, Atlanta. He gets, the way he ran his arm by his helmet aggressively. He didn't touch him, but aggressively he tried to touch him, and it's a penalty. So, it's different now.
Shaun King is joining us, a Super Bowl champ. He's the host of VSiN Prime Time and good enough to carve out a few minutes for us. We were having a conversation, Shaun, bringing it back to modern day, about Dak Prescott and the 15 interceptions last year in 12 games. Jerry Jones says he thinks it's going to be an outlier. It is an outlier in his career. The confidence you have in Dak to have bounced back this season, and also McCarthy in the offense and a discipline to actually commit to a run game that they've been talking about since basically the end of last year.
Well, it'll be interesting. Is McCarthy able to pivot to this modern day of football? It's a lot different than when he last coordinated and called plays. A lot more RPO stuff. The game's played differently. As far as Dak, to me, Dak's in a group of quarterbacks with Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr, Ryan Tannehill, Jared Goff, guys that are more than capable of helping you win games during the regular season. Just over their careers, they seem to come up short in the playoffs. You think about Dak's last 2 years, both against the 49ers, 2 years ago in Dallas, that 2-minute drive when he decides to run the football and they run out of time. And then last year, those interceptions in the second half, this time at San Francisco, until he plays at an elite level in the playoffs, that's going to be the cloud hanging over Dak. I'm not worried about regular season interceptions or turnovers. His career says that he's fine in the regular season.
Shaun, you okay with the Chargers paying Justin Herbert $262 million?
I'll say this. I want everybody to get paid. Can't get paid when every time a quarterback comes up for a renegotiation or extension, they feel like they have to get slightly more than the guy ahead of them. Look at this. I think Daniel Jones was first. He got, 140 guaranteed, if I'm not mistaken? But look at Hurts. Hurts got, 255? Then Lamar got 260. Then Herbert got 262. At the end of the day, who's a better football player, Austin Eckler or Justin Herbert?
Why? I would assume Herbert because he's a quarterback.
Because why? Because he's talented? Like, at the end of the day, I believe in Justin's talent, but what has he actually done? Blow a first-half lead last time we saw him against Jacksonville, who limped into the playoffs because Tennessee Titans lost 7 games straight? Like, if you take the nostalgia out of some of these players and just look at the facts, I think Herbert's very talented. But Do I think he should be paid more than Patrick Mahomes? Absolutely not. Is he paid more than Patrick Mahomes? That's a problem.
Shaun, Perloff and I were talking about whether we think Joe Burrow is going to, take more than Herbert and continue with this trend of taking more, or if Burrow does something like Mahomes, signing the super long deal, makes it a little more palatable for the team year by year to build a winner. What do you think?
I would presume he'll take the Brady road, the Mahomes road. Burrow's a dog. He's a guy that's right there on the peripherals now. I mean, he's gone to Kansas City the last 2 years, beat Mahomes 2 years ago, had a chance to win a championship. They didn't get it done against the Rams. Went to Arrowhead again last year, and, outside of a late roughing the quarterback penalty out of bounds, I mean, who knows how that game ends. So Burrow's a big dog. I would imagine him and Chase and Higgins and Tyler Boyd, they'll all find a way where they can all be rich and still be teammates. Which to me makes the most sense. I mean, come on, goddamn, what's the difference between 250 and 265? I mean, come on.
Well, not for us.
I mean, do you got an extra part of the Gucci store that
well,
people that quite aren't over 260 get to go to? Come on, man.
Perloff looked up the most expensive house in Cincinnati is what?
$9 million for Burrow.
Right, and I mean, look at it right there in New York. Look what Daniel Jones got off of a 15-touchdown year.
Yeah, 92 million guaranteed.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you telling me you can't pay Saquon Barkley, who is light years a better and more important football player for your success than Daniel Jones? No knock on Daniel Jones. Get your money. But it's out of whack. It shouldn't be position as much as it should be player.
Wait, just go back to the Chargers for 1 second. So you think the Chargers should pay Austin Eckler more, not more than Justin Herbert, but you think that's going to be out of whack when you look at those two contracts?
100%. Austin Eckler is the best pass-catching running back in the National Football League. Justin Herbert is super talented, but I can show you multiple times where he's still uncomfortable in the pocket when he's under pressure. He still's a little erratic at times, pushing the ball down the field. And listen, this isn't me saying that he doesn't have the talent to develop into a superstar. This is me saying he's not that yet.
Shaun, can't tell you how much we appreciate this. We're flat out of time. Thank you so much. Have fun. VSiN Prime Time starts in a little bit less than a half an hour from now. Thank you, Shaun.
Next time we talk, it'll be my pretty face, not just my voice.
That's all right. The message is coming through loud and clear. Thank you, Shaun.
Hopefully it'll be less than 116 as well,
I know.
Shaun.
Let's try to stay cool. That is crazy. The temperatures in all over the country has just been crazy. It's a little bit like we were talking about with Jaylen Brown, which is he got this huge contract from the Boston Celtics, but he's not even the best player on his own team. Is Justin Herbert feel a little like that? He's not the least accomplished of all the guys ahead of him on this, or now behind him, I guess, on this list of highly paid quarterbacks. But he doesn't have the track record yet of any of these guys,
Absolutely. No, it's a matter of timing, too. In the NBA, Jaylen Brown becomes the first $300 million contract. Mike Conley at one point became the first $150 million, and nobody thought Mike Conley should have been the richest player in the NBA.
Good point.
So it's just, I'm not saying it's right, but it's just these guys cycle up to the top, and Herbert's exactly like that. He's the Jaylen Brown in this situation.
And I don't begrudge him, because here's the other thing. I'm paying him for future performance.
Yeah.
It's like I'm paying him for what he is going to do, what I hope he's going to do in the future. So I don't mind paying Justin Herbert, but there is a reality to not just Herbert, but Lamar and Jalen Hurts and Deshaun Watson and Josh Allen and all these guys basically outside of Patrick Mahomes, which is once you get paid a lot, it becomes harder for you to win a Super Bowl because there's less money to team build.
Absolutely. I mean, Herbert's numbers went way down last year. I know he had the hurt ribs and his wide receivers were injured all the time, but you're in the Chargers building. Everybody gets hurt all the time, every single year. So I think something's going on there. They got to find a way to stay healthy. Their wide receiver core was so slow last year. Now they got Quentin Johnson. But this is definitely, as you say, it's not a layup that this is going to work out in 5 years. If it's a 5-year deal, I'm not sure he makes a Super Bowl in that 5 years, especially in this AFC with all those quarterbacks.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Perloff and I have a major case of FOMO, the fear of missing out. We'll tell you why after this CBS Sports Update with Rich Ackerman.
CBS Sports Radio. Sports Flag.
Well, if USC and UCLA can leave the Pac-12, anyone can. In Colorado, the latest school seemingly ready to bolt the conference, according to ESPN. There will be a president's meeting tonight, at which time expansion within the conference will be discussed. The Carolina Panthers are starting over with new head coach Frank Reich going with their top pick overall, Bryce Young, from day one as expected, as the team made the official announcement earlier today. Andrew Thomas went from potential bust to the highest paid offensive tackle ever, reportedly getting a 5-year extension for the Giants with $67 million guaranteed, the largest ever for an offensive lineman. The Bears have come to terms with Cole Kmet on a 4-year extension, $50 million total, $32 million of that is guaranteed. And Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred gets an extension through the 2028 season. Action today, the Brewers take 2 of 3 from the Reds, this time 3-0 in the finale, so they're now up a game and a half in the NL Central. Washington down Colorado 5-4. St. Louis and Arizona tied at 3, bottom 6. Top 7, it's Pittsburgh 2, San Diego 1. Toronto leads the Dodgers 2-0 in the top half of the 5th. Miami down Tampa Bay 7-1. It was Seattle over Minnesota 8-7, and Cleveland an 8-3 win over Kansas City. I'm Rich Ackerman.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To Maggie and Perloff. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, and I don't know about you, Perloff, but I'm starting to get a lot of FOMO that I haven't watched any of these Messi games.
It's been 2.
I know, but I don't have the MLS package, which you have to buy separately. I feel like if I have Apple Plus, I should probably just be able to have the package. But anyway, he had the amazing goal, the penalty kick goal in his debut, and then last night, 2 goals. Here's what they sounded like.
I think he's onside. Messi with Kazan off his line. Messi off the post. Puts the follow in. Of course he did. 8 minutes in. Lionel Messi gets his second for Miami. 1-0. Messi driving forward. Over to Robert Taylor. Taylor cutting it back. Martinez left it for Messi. Oh my word. He has done it again. Lionel Messi. 3 goals in less than an hour of play for Inter Miami. 2-0 tonight over Atlanta.
Those are courtesy of Apple TV. Stu, you're shaking your head. I mean, you guys are way bigger soccer fans than Perloff and I are, but it just doesn't seem like it's that challenging for Messi. Like, he's so good. He doesn't belong in this league, right?
He doesn't belong in the league. He's just too good. Even at his age, he's still amazing and way better than any player in the league, and he's shown that through 2 games. He looks good, too. It's not just like, okay, he has a few goals. Like, he's actually looked good throughout the games, too, which is even more incredible.
But isn't this exactly what we wanted, right? Like, when Pele came here in the 70s, he was good, but he was at the end of his career. Don't we want to see the greatest ever on American soil doing things and just showing us what we're missing so that it actually draws fans and other Americans maybe to, play soccer and grow up playing soccer and see the greatest doing it here?
Well, I think we are playing soccer as young people. I think that just either filters out, you start playing other sports, or...
Right, so maybe now it doesn't filter out.
I guess I just can't tell if this is helping him or hurting him. It's like if I go over to, play tennis against a bunch of 8-year-olds, I think I'm going to beat them. That doesn't make me feel better about myself.
That's pretty harsh on the MLS.
You know what I mean? I mean, it just seems like this is just too easy for him.
Can I play devil's advocate here for 1 second?
Yeah,
it's
go ahead.
1 game.
It's 2 games.
Well, yeah, but wasn't one of them this is the first.
Yeah, he was a substitute, but had the game-winning free kick.
Was that an MLS game or some sort of?
It was a friendly, but I guess it didn't matter in the standings.
It's a League Cup.
Thank you, not a friendly.
Yeah.
League Cup.
It wasn't. Yeah, it was. Who was it against? It wasn't against another MLS team. It was against a country.
La Liga, something.
Right. So, I don't know. You guys seem to think like he's like Michael Jordan playing against a JV high school team. It's 1 game.
No, but I looked it up. This Atlanta team that he was playing against.
Yeah, they were 500.
No, but they're known to be one of the better teams in the league.
No, they're 500. I'm telling you. I just look at the stats here. They're totally middle of the pack. I don't know. I just think that The other thing too is I have all these fancy soccer writers on my Twitter feed are like, oh, don't get it's just MLS, which is funny too because Yeah, because they want us to talk about soccer, but then when someone does something to MLS, we're like, it's just MLS.
Yeah, right. So that's what I'm wondering.
Yeah.
Like, how impressed should I be?
It's like he went down.
I'm
like you said, he
impressed.
went down to AAA and is hitting a bunch of home runs.
Like, I guess I feel like I'm kind of missing out. Like, I'm thinking about getting the MLS package. I like MLS, by the way. I mean, I don't follow it, but I appreciate what they do. I'm not looking down on MLS. I just think that Messi has come there and it's almost shined a light on just how much better he is than everyone else. Is that necessarily good for the league?
I think we're overreacting.
Like, if LeBron
I don't know
went
enough
over
about soccer. He's not going to score 2 goals a game for the rest of the thing, and they're not going to win anything this year, right? So,
well, they were in like last place when he got there, so that's going to be tough for them to get back in the playoff hunt. But yeah, he looks great. I mean,
why wouldn't he score 2 goals a game? Of course he will.
It sounds like a lot. I don't know if he can do 2 goals a game, but I think he's going to score a lot of goals.
He's going to score a lot of goals.
Don't you think the other team's going to start to focus on, hey, like maybe we don't want to be a highlight and a Messi thing here? I don't know if you could do that in soccer. It's not like basketball where it's Michael Jordan with the ball in his hand.
Well, they're not going to do a box and one. I mean, I don't know what the
Well, I mean, I think you might get a little defensive if you're the other team. You guys watching tonight? Are we all in? What's the?
Are they playing tonight?
No, the women.
Oh, the
9 o'clock against the Netherlands. Apparently, this is a big challenge. I'm all about this. Getting the girls on the couch. 9 o'clock. We're staying up late. Going to put coffee in my 11-year-old. Going to do this thing.
Put coffee in her Mountain Dew.
Good job. So, by the way, my 12-year-old drinks about 4 things of bubble tea a day. And I actually wonder, I was like, is that caffeinated? But she sure seems hooked on it.
She sure seems alert.
Well, she'll be up for the game tonight, so that's a good thing.
There you go. Let's get to our shot of the day.
He shoots!
And the shot of the day is brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos is brought to you by those who drink it. Today's shot of the day, a little snapshot of the show. Perloff and I were not planning this before the show. We kind of backed into a new food bet.
Taking less is going to happen within 2 weeks. We'll know who's right about this. I think Joe Burrow is going to take a pay cut.
He's driving to Cincinnati?
I don't want to drive to Cincinnati on this one. I'll eat a bowl of Skyline
By the
chili.
way, I kind of want you to eat the Skyline chili. We've done a lot of food challenges around here, but only if you can do it with no hands. What a bad bandwagon fan you are. Don't even want to drive to Cincinnati to see your beloved Reds.
All the driving bets are always one way because you don't like driving long. You don't even like driving an hour and a half somewhere to
I don't
New
even
Jersey.
like commuting into the office.
You're like, Perloff, why don't you drive to El Paso? And I'm like, you just complained because you had to go from North Jersey to another part of North Jersey.
I do not like to be in the car. All right, so from that kernel comes the new show bet, which is based on Joe Burrow. By the way, Burrow did comment on his contract today. He said it will get done when it gets done. So the contract. Yes. So you're welcome, America. So the bet is if he takes more than Justin Herbert, as I predict, Perloff has to eat a bowl of Skyline chili with no hands. And if he takes less than Herbert, Burrow takes less than Herbert, I have to eat a bowl of Skyline chili with no hands.
And the metric is average per year. So I'm hoping for a long-term, I don't care what the guarantee is. It doesn't matter. Just a long-term deal that is less than $52 million a year.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a little bit of both. Higher average annual value and more guaranteed. I think it's going up. So
yeah,
we'll
it
see
can't
who's
go
right.
that much higher. I mean, the salary cap's not that big. It can't
No,
go
but-
much higher than $52 million a year.
No, but they all keep going up. Like, that's the bottom line. And I do think that there is a bit of pressure, maybe from the union, to keep the salaries going up and up and up. Clearly, they can't do the same for running backs, but for
the union,
quarterbacks, for
the
sure.
union hated when Tom Brady would take a little bit less.
Yeah, they don't like that at all. 855-212-4CBS. 855-212-4227. Stephon Diggs also speaking today, basically said water under the bridge, the issues that he had last month at Bill's mandatory minicamp when he disappeared, and Sean McDermott said he was very concerned. Now, apparently, things quieted down, calmed down. Diggs is saying it's all about winning Super Bowls, and they've come very close. And I think this is the frustration that comes when you get close and you don't win.
Things have to be better as a Bills fan right now because it's so quiet up there. DeMar Hamlin's getting a lot of attention.
As he should.
But there's I'm not hearing the Super Bowl hype coming out of Buffalo. And I understand there was this Diggs controversy. That seems to have quieted down. It seems like it's all quieter in Western New York. I think that's where you want to be.
Definitely. Let Rodgers take all this hype, you know?
Yeah.
Let the hype machine go to Rodgers.
Little Dolphins hype.
Sure. Need a little more under the radar here for my Bills.
I'm seeing a lot of national experts saying the one playoff team that might fall off is the Bills because they struggled at the end of last year.
Yeah, well, I mean, they probably deserve that, right?
But I think that's okay. I mean, I think it's all right. I see a little chip on the shoulder. Like, every Super Bowl team, they always say, oh, nobody ever believed in us. Even if 75% of the people did believe in you, teams love that nobody believed in us. The Bills can do some of that now because last year they were everyone's favorite, including mine. And now no one has them.
Yeah, I think this is a better spot to be in. Now we'll see how that goes. Again, Josh Allen gets a big contract. It becomes a little harder to pay everybody. I mean, that's the thing about these quarterback contracts. They keep going up, and then it becomes a bit harder to actually win.
And do you think Diggs is being genuine when he says it's water under the bridge, his sort of arguments with the coach and the quarterback?
No, God, no.
That's a problem.
Yeah, that's a problem, but that's a problem. However, I do think his heart's in the right place. I don't think that he's I don't care if we lose, but I get 10 targets. Like I think he did want DeAndre Hopkins. I believe that.
Yeah, he wants to win. You can tell that.
He's in year 9.
But he's always complaining about something.
Well, I mean, so is every professional athlete.
No, he kind of whined his way out of Minnesota when he was killing it there. Indoor, doing great. He just seems like one of those guys who kind of tends to be unhappy.
Well, let's see. We can hear from Shaun McDermott. He was talking about it earlier about where things stand with Stephon Diggs.
So we're in a good spot. As far as the team's concerned, we got a lot of work to do. That's really our focus, and it should be our focus is about the team and making sure we're putting the work out here that we need to put in.
So there you go. There you are.
A little coach speak on the show never hurts.
I'll tell you who's going to be feeling the pressure the most is going to be McDermott if they lose again.
Yeah, because Allen's not going
anywhere. Allen's not going anywhere. Diggs isn't going anywhere unless he really wants to. That'd be his decision.
Yeah.
McDermott's the one who's going to feel it.
Offensive coordinator Ken Dorsey. Not that anyone cares, but I don't know. He seems a lot worse than Brian Daboll so far.
No, it'd be everybody. If McDermott's out, it's going to be everybody out. And that's where this is going to fall because, I mean, I don't expect that the defense is going to take a step back, but what happened with Leslie Frazier?
Yeah.
What's going on here? What happened in the second half of the season with Dorsey and Allen, and why can't they just commit to running the ball at any point?
I got her started right at the end of the show. But it's not like they have any competition in the AFC East. Everything should be fine, Maggie. Nothing to worry about. By the way, you promised you'd stay positive. I heard some negativity creeping in there.
No, that was just reality. That wasn't negativity. Thank you, Mike Samter. Thank you to Stu Kovacs. Thanks to Nate Boyer, who joined us earlier, the Green Beret, to Shaun King, who joined us. Weedos and Purple Drinkers. See you tomorrow.